Sister Cat, what's going on, baby? What am I?
Everybody gonna get in line and do right.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live. We are live. And our topic today, Brother Isaiah, you can't hear?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Brother Isaiah?
Lord Jesus.
So it looks like Brother Isaiah is having a little computer. Oh, you can hear? Can you hear us?
No.
No, you can't?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay,
Now
we
we
can
can.
hear you now.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, look, I'm gonna change computers. This is the one I messed up when I have my book. So hold on. Give me a couple of minutes.
See what happens when you don't have no air conditioning?
Boy, don't start on that air conditioner. Lord, I tell you, I was be like, brother, I'm not gonna be hot with you. I'm gonna go buy me something. I don't care where I'm gonna get this money from, but I'm not gonna be hot with you. Ain't no way in the world. Lord have mercy. Ooh, don't start with the air conditioner. Boy, that thing right there blew me away. I'm like, y'all jumping some fans. What the hell?
Exactly.
You know fans blowing hot air. I was like, no, sir. Oh, but then Isaiah.
Wow. Wow, Isaiah, get everything tuned in. I want to welcome Earthman. Peace and blessings, Earthman. We're glad that you're here at the program today. And as everybody noticed, you see the thumbnail of the program. You see an image of Dr. Khalid Muhammad, our greatest general.
Yes.
And the title of this program is Lie Killer. And Dr. Khalid did a lecture with that same title, The Lie Killer. And so today, because there's been a lot, look here, there's so many damn lies circulating about our people and what we've been through and who's this and who's that, I sat down and thought about it. I said, yeah, we got to destroy all lies today. We got to deal with it and take it out, knock it out the box. Because, when you get to the point of saying the transatlantic slave trade never happened, that all of our great ones and start to question whether they existed or not, that's a real problem that we have to be able to look in and see the reality for what it is. And during this program today, we're going to jump into that, deal with this George Washington being black, deal with that foolishness.
Oh, boy, that one right there. Go ahead. I'm not interrupt you. I want to know where you getting your information. Please help me. Oh my God, what is that stuff? Black folks are the only ones that deny our history. Why? Because white folk deny it for you? Listen. And then people that bring it up like Dana, what was his name? Dana
Galloway.
Yes. He was the first one that I heard with that mess. And I was like, that dude is an agent. I swear he is. Where he at today? He gone. Where he at? You have to listen and be careful of those, what you call it, COINTELPROs.
Exactly.
Exactly. No, bro, no. When I first heard that, I was like, I'm not listening to him. I hurry up and deleted him. Hurry up.
I questioned him on some of his things, but he never responded. He responded to other people, but he didn't respond to me.
No, he ain't
Wait. What? I never responded. What?
You
talking about me?
No.
You're not Dan Calloway. We're talking about that nigga.
Dan Calloway. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's my boy now. You can't talk about my boy now.
I'm done. I'm gonna exit left. That's your boy. It would be. It would be. With the man with no air, it would be. It would. That don't shock me one bit. That
You know
don't
how
shock
it
me
go.
one bit. I swear it don't.
You know the script.
That's when you
know
got
the-
Abraham Lincoln was black
Hold
and
on, man.
George,
What's
what's his
going
name?
George Washington.
George Washington. That's where you got that from, Dan Calloway. Can you hear us? Lord,
I didn't hear
is that where you got that George Washington was black from Dane Calloway?
No. That look. I was telling Brother Maurice that I was in a conversation, well, in like a group general conversation,
Uh-huh.
and they were talking about all of the presidents and Obama being the first black president. I said, no. How do you figure that? You know? And then I just laid it out there. It was like some white people in there, and two white girls were saying, "Yeah, we know George Washington was black." You know what I
Oh
mean?
Lord. Okay.
That's no secret. You know what I mean? That's no
That's a
secret.
secret to
The
me
very
because
first
I ain't
president
never
of
heard it.
hold on. The very first president under the Articles of Confederation, which there were, if I'm not mistaken, there were four. The first two, because there was the duration of the term was only 1 year. So the first president under the Articles of Confederation was John Hanson. He
I
served two
remember
terms.
him. I know him.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one that's
So
on the
he
$2 bill. I know that one. But George Washington, I had never seen him be. I've never heard anything about him being black. But I knew about John Hanson because I saw it.
Yeah, but the thing is that his boy Loudon, I don't know how you pronounce it, Loudon, Loudon, something like that,
Mhm.
described the man to be not five something, be 6'2", 30 build and blue eyes. You know what I mean? How can you beat a first-hand account of a man that people saw? George Washington even said when they iconoclastically changed his skin color, said, well, that's not me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So, but if you want to believe he's white, then that's fine. If you want to believe that Obama was the first black president, which is really stupid, that's
Oh, we
fine. I'm not
definitely
gonna.
know he wasn't the first black one. I know
Well,
that.
No, he
to
wasn't.
be
Come on,
to,
man.
to be honest, when we look at that John Henson dude, there was two John Hensons. There was a white one
Yeah.
and a black one.
Yeah.
And so to think that these colonies would vote a black man in as president doesn't really fit. Even though when you do your research and they talk about the two John Hansons, you can clearly see and understand, where that comes from. So, but like I said, we're gonna get into all of that today. I don't want us to push the gun. I want us to go in sequence. And I think that the biggest problem that we as Black people have in America, well, not just in America, I think throughout this earth, is Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the first big problem because we have so many different views or different realities of where this come from. And when you start to compare the Jesus that is preached about from the Bible versus the actual Jesus that's in the Bible, you get two different people. And so I want to start with that first, because I think that is the biggest thing to jump on. Now, the things that they say about Jesus, one, is that he was born of a virgin birth, that, he was born of a virgin birth. He died and rose 3 days later, right? Those two are the biggest misconceptions about Jesus. One, well, before I give my comments, I'm going to let my panelists give their thoughts first. So the first thing we're going to talk about Jesus was, did he have a virgin mother? Was he at this immaculate conception? Sister Cassie, what say you?
Wow, you know what? This one right here. I've heard people talking about it that it was not. Um, I've heard points. Okay, I don't really know. I know what the Bible teaches, but I know but I know a whole lot of stuff in the Bible has been jacked up by the Roman Catholic Church. I know that lies after lies after lies have been told, and they've taken certain books out, and they've done a whole 360 when it comes to the Bible, so you don't really know what to believe. Okay. They say if you read the Bible before 1811, 1816, or something like that, then you got the truth. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to pass on that right there. But I don't about dying and rising in 3 days. If you talk about Friday to Sunday, that's not 3 days, it's only 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. So I can, I understand that part of it. So I'm gonna let you guys educate me today on that part right there. I'm gonna let y'all educate me on that one, because I've heard it, I've read it, we grew up with that, right? So okay, I'm open for truth. So if y'all got some truth, help me out.
Okay. Brother Isaiah, your thoughts?
Now, on this show, Sister Cassie, Brother Muhammad, I love you guys like family by now. But when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're right, you're right. You know what we do on this show? We're going to call you out.
Hey,
and
do
put
it.
you onto the floor.
That's right.
As you fucking up and fucking around, you're going to find out. Am I right or wrong?
That's right. That's right.
This is the lion den. You're going to come in, you're going to be quiet and sit down and learn or something, or you're going to come in with the facts and you won't get bit up and eaten up and shit it out. You know what I mean? You're going to be like Daniel. Or you're going to come in, you're going to get your ass whipped. That's all what that is. It's one way or the other. You know what I me? So,
you can't do no but love out there, I tell you.
Yeah,
for the family, everybody be like, look at him like.
You know what? A lot of our people are putting this shit out on the front burner in the street, on their podcasts, talking about facts. Now you brought it up, brother. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna call you out on it.
Come on.
No, hold on, player. Hold on. Hold on. Now, two questions. I love you like a brother from another mother. I ain't gonna be trying to ride you like I would ride a white motherfucker. you would not have no chance in hell if you were white. Now, I'm gonna give you a leeway because you're my brother. You know what I mean? So this is my question: fact and opinion. Is it a fact that I speak from my mouth? Is that a fact?
Yes.
You can't argue that, right?
Right.
Okay. Is it an opinion if I talk out of my ear? That's an opinion.
That would be an opinion.
Not correct?
Right.
That would be an opinion, right?
Exactly.
Opinions don't have evidences or receipts. That's just your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that my mouth has a tongue, has teeth, has the vocal cords and all of that, and you know how it works. You just talk. So facts and opinion are two different things in this moment that we're going to be talking about. So with that being said, with Jesus, which is not his true name because the J didn't come around until about what, 400 years ago, 500 years ago? So we had to go back a little bit more. You had to start with Yeshua, whatever case you want to call it. You know what I mean? With that being said, we understand that there was never any Jesus until most recently. That was because white folks didn't understand. They were spiritually baby and they still are. Okay? Number two, I'm just looking it up right now, doing it on DuckDuckGo. The world's 16th crucified Savior. You can look this up. Jesus was not the first. Okay? 16 Christ that was crucified as Savior. Number three, the Jesus story, Jesus never existed. That is a mythology. That comes from Isis, Horus, and Osiris story. Number four, there ain't no way in the hell that a woman can have an immaculate baby without having a dick up in it. That's just to keep it on her wheel. With sperm entering her uh, 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 reproductive tract and swimming up to the ovaries and fertilizing the egg and the egg coming down and implanting itself within the uterus. That's how it goes. There is no damn immaculate conception because somebody through that night came up on Mary and laid up on her and came up in her. You know what I mean? If we're going to go with the real deal Holyfield. Number 5, the idea that Jesus is so prevalent now is to the fact that through these centuries, the main focus has been on Catholicism and Christianity. And through the Pope and his papal bull and all of that that went into the black on black crime that happened in the America by Christopher Columbus was prevalent in spreading that faith, that religion, that Christianity or Catholicism that literally killed tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people over the century. So we already know that with that being said, all the other so-called Christ took a back seat. And the main one that made, I guess, if I can say it this way, the headlines was this black Jesus that Putin is putting out. This is not a secret. This is very well known. And you got to understand, too, that over that period of time, not too many people were well read. They couldn't read. They depended on the what do you call it, people? The latency, not the latency. The people of the church. It starts with an L. I can't remember the name. But anyway, a lot of their education came through them. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, the level of education during the 1700s, was it 1800, 1900, wasn't that high. The level of ignorance and the level of not knowing was running rampant like like nobody's business, I guess. You know what I mean? So with that being said, this Jesus thing just really took a deep dive into the heart and soul of humanity, and then comes Islam with the Prophet Muhammad and the spreading of Islam. Both of those two so-called religions, which I would prefer to say called the ways of life, the philosophy, come from Judaism, and Judaism stems from or was born out of Ma'at. This is not no, fantasy. This is not no secret. It is what it is. There is a natural progression that you have through time. Just like at one point, the boy color was pink and the girl color was blue. At some point, somebody decided, or a group of people decided, hey, we're going to change it around. So things do change over time. You know what I mean? What was it? Indo-European used to be a language group. Now it's associated with people. So things do change over time. You have to be aware of that, when it happened, how it happened, why it happened. So I'll throw it back at you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Brother Isaiah. And I agree with what Brother Isaiah is saying as well. When we look and study Jesus, first you have to realize, I think for our people, the importance of the idea that this Jesus that you're taught about in church is God. You have to understand, and I was first introduced to the knowledge of how dangerous it is to equate black with being Jesus, right? When I was in high school, and we was at the library, and me and my friend was in line checking out our books, and the librarian, the old white lady, heard me say to my friend, "Hey, Jesus is black, right?" And he was like, "No, I didn't know that." And I was like, "Yeah, he is black." And when I got up there for her to check my book out, the librarian, who we knew each other and, I thought we were cool, she looked at me and she says, "You make me nervous." And I was shocked when she said that I made her nervous.
Wait, you make you what?
She said that I make her nervous.
Oh, okay.
And so, me being ignorant, not understanding white and black, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you nervous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she was like, don't worry about it. Just, that's just how you are. You make me nervous. And I'm thinking like, well, what did I say that, all of a sudden now, because all these years we've been going to school and you've been our librarian, we were cool. Now you're saying I make you nervous. And I didn't understand that until I got knowledge of self, because I was telling another black person that your God that you call Jesus is not white, that he is black. And that made her nervous because the world that they built based on that damnable lie is the underpinning of their power and control. So she said, I made her nervous because she understood that I was breaking that veil that we couldn't see through because our minds were locked in a falsehood about Jesus. Now, when we read the Bible, as Sister Cassie said, and that book has been altered and changed and all this other stuff. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad called it a poison book. Now, we got to understand what it is that we're reading and what it is that really should be taught, because the enemy wants to use this to keep you locked away. And so as we look up here in the Bible, that I got it pulled up, let me make it a little bigger. We're looking at the genealogy of Jesus. And as Brother Isaiah said, his name wasn't Jesus. There wasn't no J. So his real name, if he was walking down the street, hey, Jesus, he keep on walking because he don't know who the hell you calling. You wouldn't be calling him. So when we're dealing with Esau, it says this is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And then it goes, Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Judah. And this is in Matthew 1. And you can go read it for yourself, but it breaks down his natural genealogy, because there is no such thing as an immaculate conception. You just laying there, the girl just laying there, and all of a sudden a ghost just get on top of you and insert what? A ghost ain't got a damn thing to insert. A ghost don't have a damn thing to come out. So as you read, it's talking about men, the seed of this, meaning that this is his father. Then we go down here where it says, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, and Mary was the mother of Jesus, who is called the Messiah. Who is called the Messiah. We can go over here to Romans. And Romans says, concerning his son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh. According to the flesh. It tells you right there. But see, Pastor ain't going to get up there and teach you that, because his money is tied into believing to make you still believe that this Jesus came about through an immaculate conception. But it says, and declared to be the Son of God with power according to the Spirit of holiness by the resurrection of the dead. So he was declared to be the seed of God. He was declared to be the Messiah. That means that somebody looked and said, I'm declaring you to be the Messiah. I'm declaring you to be this magnanimous person. It's like Peter, when Jesus was asking them, who do they say I am? And the apostles was like, oh, that you the son of this, you that. And he said, Peter, who do you say I am? He said, you are the Christ. You are this, that, and the other thing. And Jesus said, well, I never told you that. He said, I never told you that. Flesh and blood has never told you that. So I didn't tell you that's who I am. That's what you said I am. So we got to be understanding when somebody declares something. It don't mean that that's the actual facts. This is one person's belief. But the preacher going to teach you that Jesus was born of an immaculate conception, but let his daughter go walking by the church. And she said, Daddy, I was walking by the church and I got pregnant. You think Daddy going to believe that? He ain't going to believe that shit. He going to say, bring me that nigga that you was with. Bring that nigga to me. Because that's what got you pregnant. Ain't no damn ghost. Well, if no damn ghost got Mary pregnant, there ain't no damn ghost gonna get your daughter pregnant. It's always by the agency of a man. And even if you look at this fertilization, you still need a man to take part so that you can get that semen and have that injected into you. So you still not going to get no immaculate conception. That just never happened. It comes through the agency of a man. And so we gonna, as we talk about today, because we killing all lies, and this lie that Jesus was immaculately conceived and had no father, when you look into your poison book, and it tells you, according to the flesh, this man was his father. Period, point blank. Now you want to declare him to be the Messiah, then that's your declaration of what you believe. Now the Jews, we all know that the Jews don't believe in Jesus. The Jews say in their Talmud that Jesus is in hell, boiling in shit. Boiling in shit. This is what they say of Jesus. Now, they don't like him. They don't accept him. They had him killed. If he never existed, it would be easy for them to say that's a lie because he never was. But they don't say that. They say that he was not the Messiah. They say that he was never born of no immaculate conception. They say he was born of fornication. That's what they claim. That's what they said to Jesus. They said, we be not born of fornication. And Jesus didn't say, well, you're right. He didn't say, I wasn't fornicated. That's how I got here. He accepted it because that was the reality. That's how he came through. That's why Mary had to be put away quickly, because the rule of that time was, you commit fornication, we're going to kill you. So they were advised to put her away speedily. Speedily. Ain't no such thing as no immaculate conception. He had a father, and he was born of fornication. That is the actual facts. Sister Cassie, what's the...
We are hearing an echo. I don't know. We were hearing an echo. Okay. Well, still, Isaiah, is your mic muted?
No, I got the fan on. Hold
Okay. Oh God. Mute
There
your
we
mic.
go with that damn fan.
Well, you mute your mic so we won't hear your fan. I want to hear some air. I don't want to hear no fan. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Mute your mic so we don't
Well,
hear
it's
no
hot today,
fan.
man. It's hot.
It's gonna stay hot with no air.
Yeah.
It's 200 degrees in your house.
Stop being cheap and get a damn air conditioner.
Don't start today, because I don't feel like laughing. Please don't.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, you too hot to laugh. That's what's wrong. You can't
Yeah,
laugh.
I'm too poor for air conditioning. Y'all got more money than me. I ain't got it.
You the one doing the stock market. We thought you were rich over there. Oh my God. Get you an air conditioner, dude. Leave them fans alone. You hot and you mad because y'all that hot air. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna leave you alone about that fan. Oh my God. Well, you know what? I'm listening to what you're saying, and when listening mostly about what you said about the Jews, and how we're not even gonna talk about who they really are. We're not even gonna talk about the seed of Satan, and whose children they really are. You know, with all this spiritual, you know, the snake thing coming out, the side of the hat, that's the side of the snake, and the sexual move that they doing when they do this. Everything about them is evil. Everything from the pedophilia to the homosexuality, and you have to understand. Remember, the Israel state is the number one in homosexuality, pedophilia.
Yes.
You remember what we saw in New York, and every news channel shut it down. They got the mattress down there. You got the baby. You got the blood on the mattress. You had a whole lot of disgusting stuff down there in those tunnels that they showed everybody on national television. So we're not even gonna talk about that lie right there, you know, because it's a whole lot of lies that America is behind, and they're behind, and they keep on perpetrating those lies because black folk won't wake up. We'll tell you who we really are. We'll show you proof, and you'll still turn around and disown who you are and put other people in front of you. That's what we do. But we have to understand the dangers of doing this, the dangers of allowing other people to educate you, the dangers of allowing enemies to educate you, the dangers of allowing people that don't like you to educate you. We got to wake up with this. And if this don't make you wake up, I don't know I don't know what's going to do. Because it's time for us for truth, period. We're the only ones that will deny truth, even when it's in your face. So right now, when we're talking about this, if you believe in the Bible, whatever, it's all about truth. Your prayer for you is, God, I need truth right now, period. I need all of those lies erased from my mind, erased from my heart, and I'm opening myself up for truth. So whatever that truth is, you can receive that truth today because it's time to get it. It's time to understand it. You know, but just remember, everybody, you know, is going to believe different. I understand that. Okay. But if you want truth, you go after truth, you're going to find it. That's what I will tell you. He's going to expose it to you, but are you willing to handle it? Are you ready for it? So you have to be ready. And I rest my mic.
All right. Thank you, Sister Cassie. And before I let Brother Isaiah go, we got more people that came into the room, so let me go back and welcome them in. We got Big Brother Roy. Peace and blessings, Big Bro. We're glad to see you. Glad you're here. Twin Pyramid, welcome, Big Bro. We're glad to see you. Glad you're here. Who are Earth Angel 1105 Remix. You're here and you're on time. We missed you. We're glad you're here. Glad you're here. We got Mac 285. Peace and blessings, Big Bro. We're glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. And we are all caught up. And, you know, I want to go in. Before I go again, Isaiah, what say you, Big Bro? What's your thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah, let me throw this out so that people will know. If you can go, it's all up in the Bible. Hold on. Christ the Son, S-U-N, will shine on you. Don't the sun shine on your black ass every day? Philippians 3:20. Jesus is nothing less than a whole lot more than the sun. Jesus is born and dies every day. It is this little sun. That is why you see a halo, I guess it's a halo, going around his head. These are not just symbols and something else. This is the very essence of which our ancestors paid attention to. Without the sun, man cannot exist. Humanity cannot exist. Life on this planet cannot exist. Our ancestors weren't stupid. They were very aware of the season changing and crop growing and dying and leaves forming and going. You know what I mean? So there's an ebb and flow of life. And as our cultural, ancestral ability to see beyond our eyes began to spiritually enrich us, we began to see the connection between nature and nurture, man and animal, and all those things and how we fit into it. There was a sacredness to that. And this is what white folks don't see because they're spiritually deprived and they're spiritually immature. They cannot tell you about Jesus, Buddha, Allah, Christmas, all of that, because they don't have it within them. Jesus, Buddha, Allah, Christian is something that exists in you. That's the old Egyptian quote. If I'm, forgive me if I say it wrong, but it said, "To find the kingdom of God is to find it in you," something along that line. And that is so very true. If you want to find God, look for you. If you want to find you, look for God. It's the same thing. It's the same person. It's the same individual. God is within you. Uh, um, the spine of a person is Jacob's ladder, and then when it reaches into the brain, you have the seat of God, which is the pineal gland. These things our ancestors knew about. They cut up the body and they wrapped it up and gauze for thousands of years. Do you not think that they know what the fuck they talking about? What the hell they doing? Hey, Doc. And all these centuries and millennia that have gone by, do you not know that they think about this shit? They just didn't wrap bodies and gauze for nothing. They understood the inner workings of the body, the anatomy, the ebb and flow of the blood, what this is and what that is, and how the brain works and all of this. We are not a stupid people. We're very wise and knowledgeable and understanding. We go back, way back. We're hold on, let me get, I want to make this shit, because sometimes I get it wrong. We are 2 seconds older than dirt. That's how it goes. You know what I mean? You can't get no motherfucking time on Earth. There's no time that you can put on black folks. Billions of years, trillions of years. A day in the eyes of God is 1,000 years. Don't the Bible say that? Somewhere around that?
Mhm.
We are the ancient of days. You cannot put no fucking date on us. I throw it back on you.
What'd you say, Isaiah? You are 2 seconds older than dirt.
We are literally 2 seconds older than dirt. Yeah, that ain't no. No. You know what? I would let me say this. I was on a show years ago, like 30 years ago. I don't know how long. It was a long time ago. And uh, at the end of that conversation, we're talking about black people and how white people, the whole nine. And I said, look, do you know how important black is? You cannot exist without blackness on this motherfucking planet. Carbon, the dirt that we get food from is black. Carbon is the fundamental element of life on this planet. When you are conceived in blackness, not out in the open in the air. When you look up into the heaven, it's black at midnight. When you really want to get in touch with God, you go within, not without. Because what is out is in is out, but it's the same thing. There's a certain point where you can see with your eyes, feel with your fingers, smell with your nose, taste with your tongue, and all of that. There's a deeper sense that white folk will never fucking understand. It is that sense of our ancestry that goes way back that allows us to feel, feel, feel. There's just something you just can't feel with your fingers. You gotta feel it with your heart and soul and spirit. That's where you get in contact with our ancestral history. What do you call? Doc probably know this. Uh, the ancestral record. I can't remember, but you guys probably know the Akashic record. That is deeply within your motherfucking genes, nigga. What the fuck? You cannot beat us. I threw it back.
All right. Thank you, Brother Isaiah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to welcome Doc to the program. Peace and blessings, Doc. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Getting ready for this. Been out getting left and right things, little things, man. So it's supposed to hit us on Sunday night. So,
Wow. Tonight?
yeah. Sunday night or early morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are just getting thrashed down there between the heat now and hurricanes.
Yeah. We welcome the rain, but under these circumstances, hopefully it'll cool it off a little. But everything is shut down now. So schools, everything is colleges, universities, everything's closed. So we're bracing, trying to get ready.
Wow. So this is going to be a major one then.
Nah, not really. It's supposed to reach Hurricane 1 status. It's at tropical storm force right now. They're talking about when it hits us, it'll probably be about 75-mile-per-hour winds. So it's not bad as as we're used to. I would say that. So.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, welcome, Doc. We're talking about the lie killer. So we're dealing with different issues that have been taught to Black people. We started out with religion, dealing with Jesus and his position. We're going to be dealing with the founding fathers of George Washington, supposed to be Black, and the 13 Black colonies, and get a real grip on the reality of things, that they should be right, because too many different things out here floating. And when you believe and begin to say that transatlantic slave trade has never happened, then you begin to talk about the people during that time didn't even exist. That's a real major problem. And so today on the program, The Lie Killer, we're going after those and go ahead and chop them up. So, and we talked about Jesus. We talked about the Immaculate Conception. We showed in the Bible where it was saying that he is the seed according to the flesh, and it rained down his genealogy. We talked about where he was resurrected 3 days later, died on the cross, and then resurrected 3 days. That the math doesn't show out to come out to be 3 days. My last bit of the conversation I'm going into was I referenced when the scribes and Sadducees was going back and forth with Jesus, and they were like, well, we're not born of fornication. And so it was like playing the dozens back in the day. So I'm going to show that bit, and then, well, before I go into there, did you want to add to anything that was said so far?
No. I'm really here just to enjoy, Okay. So nothing I want to add. I didn't hear what was said previously, so I can't backtrack and address something I didn't hear. So okay. So let's just keep rolling.
All right, perfect. So this I'm going to show where that conversation came from, where Jesus and the scribes and Sadducees, and this is in John 8. Okay. John 8th chapter. We're going down to we're going to start at the 31st verse because, as I said, this is a back and forth between them and Jesus, where they throwing stones at each other. Then Jesus said to those Jews which believed on him, "If you continue in my word, then ye are my disciples, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." They answered him, "We be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. How saith you, ye shall be made free?" Now, this is very critical, because if those fake Jews over there in the East that claim to be Jews, which are not, they say they have never been enslaved. Never. So obviously, if they have never been enslaved, the talk about in Genesis where God was talking to Abraham and said that know of a surety that your seed will be a stranger in the land for 400 years. That didn't have a damn thing to do with them that was having this conversation with Jesus, because they would have said, yeah, we was enslaved. But they said, we wasn't enslaved to nobody. So how you say we're going to be made free? So that's one thing. Then they say, Jesus answered them, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abides not in the house forever, but the Son abides forever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. I know that you are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word has no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my father, and ye do that which you have seen with your father." So Jesus is pointing out two different fathers. And they answered him and said unto him, "Abraham is our father." Jesus said unto them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would do the work of Abraham." He says, "But now you seek to kill me, a man that has told you the truth, which I have heard of God. This did not Abraham." And then they says, "You do the deeds of your father." They said unto him, "Well, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God." So as you can see in their back and forth with Jesus, they said, well, we Abraham's seed. Jesus said, well, if you were Abraham's seed, you would do the work of Abraham. You ain't Abraham's seed. You are of your father. And then they throw it back at him. Was like, well, look, we be not born of fornication. So they're playing the dozens with each other, going back and forth, blah, 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 in this argument. And so again, we have to, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, work cheerfully in the poison book and take that which is detrimental, take it out and cast it out, deal with what the reality of the truth is, and know that we have to be able to stand. And when the enemy, gave us their religion and gave it to us in a manner that is against our own being, so that we may serve them perpetually. Because when you think about God and you think about his son, if his son is white, then God also has to be white. But when you say Jesus is black and he's the Son of God, and we were made in his image and likeness, white folks don't look like black folks. So he couldn't have been both of us made in his image and likeness. Only one. and that is us. We come, listen, we come from the mind of God. The cracker comes from the black man's balls. That's where they come from. That's where they come from. You come from the mind of God, and they come from the black man's balls. That is the reality of it. They may not like it, but hey, it is what it is. That is the truth. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall what? Make you free. Make you free. Our next topic that we're getting into. We got Brother Willie Rivers. I want to welcome Brother Willie Rivers to the program. Peace and blessings. Brother Willie, we're glad you are here. The next topic that we're getting into is that these 13 colonies that started America, that they were 13 black colonies, that there were black people like you and me that was running the thing. And Isaiah, correct me if before we get there, I think we got to take it in step. So the first thing is the transatlantic slave trade. They say the transatlantic slave trade didn't happen. Didn't happen. When you ask, where's your evidence? A lot of them will say, well, you show me the ships. Where would the ships be? There's no ships that would have made it from what is Africa today all the way to Americas. Wooden ships just would not have made it. Well, we're going to chop it up today. Sister Cassie, transatlantic slave trade. Did it happen?
Absolutely. I told you, black folk are the only one that want to deny their history. And then we have different individuals that'll come by and tell you that America is your place. America, who's going to be destroyed, that's where you're from. It doesn't even correlate. It make it make sense. It makes no sense. Mm-hmm. America's done. It's going to be destroyed. So why would I? Where did that lie come from? But you have people that will drop stuff. You know, we talk about this Dane Calloway person. He said a whole lot of stuff, and black folk ran with it because it was new. When you don't know your history, when you don't know where you come from, when you don't have a clue about who you are, anybody can drop a line. If it sounds great, you're gonna jump on it. You know, you hear people that said, "Oh, everybody was from Indians." Okay. Here we go again. If you don't understand who you are, if you don't understand your history, you're bound to believe anything that comes along because you don't know. And they're making sure of it because they're not educating you about who you are and where you came from. You try to tell black folk who they are, and they still don't believe it because you know that your greatness. And we've been dogged so much and traumatized so much in this country. We can't even fathom being great. We can't even fathom that we were, that our God looks like us. We can't even fathom that because everybody's God look like us except us. I mean, everybody's God look like them except ours. Ours look like a blonde-haired white man, okay? But everybody, Chinese, they got the little fat man with the big belly. You know what I'm saying? So we have to get back to the basics and understand the history. And that is the history that we need to pass down to our children because it's right there going right now. Our children are in trouble. They're in trouble. And the sad part is we have black folk that have been in the educational system, that are in the educational system that could actually pull money together, even with parents. Let's educate our own children. We are damaging our children, don't even have a clue. But we have educators that could build this thing. Your educators not to get into, not to fit in with them, but to pull out, come from among and teach her and educate your own. That's what I believe, that the ones that are gifted like doctors, I don't believe that they're supposed to be mixing and mingling and getting and acting like them and taking the information and running with their information. I think that's when we're supposed to be creating our own birthing centers, our own wellness centers. It's things that we could be doing here as Black people to free our own minds, and we're not doing it. We can't even, in some of these schools, you can't even teach the real Black history, else you're gonna get what, fired? So why even be an educator if you're not gonna, teach truth, our truth? Where does that come from? We have to begin to educate our own children, and that's not what we're doing. Now rest my mic.
All right. Thanks, Sister Cassie. Doc,
Yes, sir.
what's your thoughts? Transatlantic slave trade.
If the transatlantic slave trade did not occur, it is the most sophisticated hoax in the history of the world. I've been to Elmina. I've been, to the Cape Coast. I've been to the Cape Coast Castle, and it's like, and it's one of those where it would have to be such an intricate, sophisticated, centuries long hoax, and then the we do still have the Clotilda that was, according to records, the very last of the ships that made it across the Atlantic. So, I've been there. I've touched the artifacts. I've been to dungeons that were on that side of the world, and also some that were that are still standing in South America on this side of the world. That's a lot to go through to pull a hoax. So I have no doubt whatsoever. Having seen the documents, having touched the documents, having been to these places and laying mine eyes on and talked to people on that side of the ocean and people on this side of the ocean, I have no doubt, without a doubt, that the transatlantic slave trade occurred. And I get it.
And let me, Doc, because they say that the estimate number of Africans brought to the Americas was between 10 million to 12 million of our people were brought. Do you believe that number is correct?
I believe the number is that's in the ballpark. I've seen numbers as high as 50 to 75 million deaths surrounding the transatlantic slave trade. You have to factor in the African wars. You have to factor in individuals who died in attempts to kidnap them, individuals who died on their way to the dungeons, individuals who died within the dungeons. If you go to Elmina at this present moment, this day, and you go to the female dungeon, and this is sort of the thing that leads me to this would be a phenomenal hoax to be able to put all this together. If you go to the female slave quarters of Elmina, to this day, and we're talking about an open air market, it still smells like menstrual blood.
Mm.
Okay, it's still there, and I've had many conversations with people who work there, and they've said quite simply, we've taken all of the dirt out of this section of Elmina. It doesn't smell like this in any other section, and replace that dirt, and it still smells the same. And the brother said it is in the walls, it is everywhere, and you have to think about a woman having her menstrual cycle, and we're talking about hundreds of years of menstrual cycles. They didn't have any sanitary products or what have you. They just bled. They bled into the ground. They bled into the walls. That's still there. How many of those women died? Lord only knows. How many of them died on their way across the Atlantic? You have to remember that when the so-called patriots of this nation ended up getting haughty and rebelling against the crown, that the first move that the crown made was to ban the transatlantic slave trade. It's the first thing they did. And if you were a ship captain, and we have to remember that for insurance companies and also for ship captains, this is big business. Okay. It's one of the claims for reparations because all of them are complicit. All of them profited off of what happened to our ancestors. Okay. Now, when you look at that and what the British do, if you are caught with a single, and I mean a single African on your ship, you'll hang on that ship.
Mm.
So to avoid that, what do? They go ahead and they entangle the anchor with the chains that are holding our people below deck. And if that ship is approached, unless you want to hang right then and there, you drop that anchor. And when you drop that anchor, you're talking about the instantaneous death of probably 1,000 Africans, however many you have on that ship. How many you crowded? Think about the brutality that happens as those bodies are being beaten against the walls, as they're going to follow that anchor into the depths of the ocean. And when you really think about it and you really look at it, several things. One of them is quite simply, to this day, ships that travel across the Atlantic Ocean will tell you they're followed by great white sharks to this day. Sharks followed those ships because they knew food would come over at some point. Either
Mm.
enslaved individuals would be drowned in mass, or if they died, they would be removed and thrown overboard. That's one thing. Another thing that you have to really look at to understand the true brutality of what it is that we're actually talking about is quite simply not everybody didn't make it across. So you got to add that number in as well. And then factor in the fact that when we're talking about a number like 10 million, is that number exclusive to the North American continent? Is that number exclusive to what happened, what arrived in the British colonies? Are we talking about the French and Napoleon Bonaparte? Are we talking about the Portuguese, who were the largest slave shippers of all, who filled up Brazil with Africa? It's one of the reasons why innately black men have a internal attraction to black women with big thighs, big hips, big ass. And Brazil's full of them because Brazilians speak to this day Portuguese because they were shipped by the Portuguese. And so you have, diasporic Africans who are by and large, you can't count the number of how many died because there were no records kept. We have some understanding of how many made it here because of insurance records and because of captain's logs. But the idea that it didn't occur is foolhardy. I've shown you the footage of the film Goodbye Uncle Tom, correct? Of
Yes.
the images that occurred within the hull of a ship. That's one of the greatest depictions of it. And it's one of the things that, as Sister Cassie was talking about, that I go ahead and I go to great lengths as an educator to show my kids that, and I show it to the black ones and the white ones. Y'all all gonna sit here and y'all all gonna look at this, because until you really face the stankonia, as Outcast would say, that is flowing from the European in their demonic actions. We're not talking about like the quote unquote Jewish Holocaust that lasted for about 10 years. We're talking about centuries, not even decades. We're talking about centuries of them doing us in. And so it's to be expected that some of our people will turn away from this history because it's painful. They don't want to deal with the idea that there were some circumstances that occurred when we ran across a demonic, devil-filled people that led to them doing the things that they did to us. These things occurred. And I don't care who you're talking about. The signature boy of if Babe Ruth is the signature image of the New York Yankees, well, Thomas Jefferson is the signature image of this nation. And so when you're talking about a figure like Jefferson, come on, Jefferson was a rapist, a slaver, okay, a brutalizer, a liar, a contrarian, who came out and actually says that the reason he never let his slaves free is because they had more protection and a better life living up under his rule. That's an arrogance. And it's an arrogance that's not only found in the pro-slavery era, it's also found in amongst abolitionists with a William Lloyd Garrison, who wanted to tell all of the quote unquote freed black folk how they should tell their story and what they should say in their story. So there's a paternalism that one finds amongst these people. And I yield, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Isaiah, don't be hiding. You know you next. Don't be running now, God darn it.
I'm here, player. Y'all my people. We can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable, right? All we got to do is lay the facts on the table. The facts are what they are, right? Okay. Doc, how long were black people slaves in America?
How long were black people slaves in America? You're asking what I'll answer. What I have to ask you a question before I can answer your question.
Okay.
What is your definition of America?
Oh, I don't know.
Wait a minute.
So my question, I don't know.
You have to. What do you mean? You don't know what is America?
America is where I am a citizen of.
Okay,
So
so let me say it. Let me say it this way. Then I'm going to take, and you tell me if I'm taking some, if I'm wrong. I'm going to take what you're saying to mean that you are talking about enslaved Africans on the North American continent who are the descendants of the British, which is what was just celebrated a couple of days ago. And actually, people knew the history. The Declaration of Independence was actually supposed to be July 2nd. But they actually got to approve the legislation on the 2nd, so they remembered it by the 4th. But so I will answer with the idea of America. Okay, the nation that you're a citizen of, a nation that had its Declaration of Independence in 1776. Okay, which is cutting us off from discussing anything before when they were just colonies, extensions of the crown. So if you're starting it at the Declaration of Independence, and really we shouldn't start it until about 1778, 1779, when they were able to throw off the yoke of the British. You're talking about an official state-sanctioned slavery that doesn't end until we have the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in 1865 as a result of the U.S. Civil War, except for those who were criminals or were incarcerated. They could be re-enslaved. The 13th Amendment still reads like that to this day. So what I'm answering you, that if you're starting at the beginning of this nation, that would be about 1778, 1779, and it would take us all the way to 1865 with the 13th Amendment. However, if you look at the brilliant documentary Slavery by Another Name, that slave experience actually for us is going to extend until theoretically 1965, when Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act. So in many ways, you could argue from 1778 to 1965, when you finally got equality on the law books of America. But the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. told us that equality on the law books is only the first step for this nation. The second step, which it has never tried, has been the exercise or activation of that equality.
So you're talking about 200 years or so, right?
A little less, but you're rounding. If you're talking about the formation of the United States of America, all the way through LBJ's Voting Rights Act. But personally, for me, I would extend it even to this day. I don't believe that our people are free to this day.
Okay.
So I would
So we're
extend it
talking. So I want to make sure I get this right.
over
1780.
260 years.
Right. 1780 to actually when Lincoln.
1778.
Okay. Okay. Until 1865 with Lincoln, right?
What was the
But
13th Amendment? With the 13th Amendment, not Lincoln, so to speak, but with the 13th Amendment, because you got to remember, Lincoln doesn't live 4 months after the ending of the U.S. Civil War. Hello, can you hear me? Frozen.
Yeah, he froze. You tell him you ought to get that damn air conditioner.
I'm sitting here watching the sky go from gray to light, So I know it's coming.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh my goodness. Let me can I say I'm thinking about something here. And a lot of what we were taught, even as far as what Doc was saying, we were taught still by them. You understand what I'm saying? How do we know that even what they were saying? Because white folk lie about a whole lot of stuff all the time. Every time they write something, every time they say something, it's a lie. So I'm hearing what you're saying, but how do we not know that it's not deeper than what you're saying?
The thing is that in reconstructing the past and what have you, you literally have to. It's a multi-step process. You need to go and look at what the basis is for the history that has been written, and maybe that checks out. And if that does check out, then you would have to go and find sources that would either serve as ancillary support or would dispute what it is that was written. So one of the things that historians we really don't tell people is quite simply, the more history that you learn, you get the impression of how little you actually do know. But there are certain canons that that we ascribe to, and there's not a there won't be any breakthrough in history, especially our people's history, coming from those of us within the academy, because we've all been trained around the same basic set of facts. We all have read the slave community, Roll Jordan Roll, Slaves Without Masters, and these are foundational texts that were actually created by white historians usually. So for someone to come in and obliterate what it is that we think we know, they would have to be someone who was not inundated, because as soon as you engage a Roll Jordan Roll, your mind is formed on what actually happened. Now you may try and tease out and talk about some things that maybe he skimmed over, but he set the house that you're going to be building rooms off of, and that's the weakness that we have. That for Black historians, we have to read their stuff, because without reading and knowing their stuff and being inundated and propagandized by their stuff and their view, we'll never make it out of school, because you don't know the basics, as they would put it, because they're the ones that are placing the evaluation criterion based upon if you graduate or if you do not graduate. So you're going to have to toe that line somewhat. Now, in saying that, we also have to read, John Hope Franklin is one of the most respected American historians, African American historians to ever live. He gave us From Slavery to Freedom, which is one of the canons of learning what happened to Black folk. But at the same time, you should also be reading Dr. John Henry Clark, who is not necessarily respected by the academy as much, but
Sure.
he belongs there. So, how do we know what we know? We know what we know based upon the evidence that we have, but we also don't know what we don't know
Right.
because we don't know where to look. You don't know, and then the idea of will you find it? That's a whole nother thing because you're talking about doing studies and you're looking for documents 3, 4, 500 years old, and it's a whole nother issue to ask. And you'll hear this said about the Vatican often.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't letting you in their library,
Mm-mm.
you
And that's
know.
where the truth, a lot of the truth lies. Because don't you, I believe that if we heard a black man tell this same story, it would be totally different than the story that you were taught.
Most certainly, most certainly. Well, and then the educational process
Mhm.
is one of
That's what
the
it is.
one of the biggest problems that we have is we have too many teachers, and we don't have enough people focused upon curriculum and instruction. Who is creating the narrative? Who's creating
Right.
the list of things that a child should know to receive a diploma? Who
Mhm.
is creating those end of the road tests that all children are going to be forced to study? And so, yeah, there's a game within the
Right.
game within the game,
Because
and
I believe that our children would be a whole lot different if they learned their true history and not
well,
the history that they have taught you to teach them. You know what I'm
yeah, I
saying?
mean, yeah, I mean, Huey P. Newton said it
Mhm.
perfectly. I always use Huey's quote where he's talking about the significance of everything. And Huey says, we must always remember that to move one grain of sand is to change the world.
Mhm.
To give a different lecture, my lecture about Thomas Jefferson centers around Monticello, me being kicked out of Monticello, and the fact that Jefferson had children with Sally Hemings, who most people don't realize that Sally Hemings was actually Thomas Jefferson's wife's sister.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
and you just a fact like that would be revolutionary. I just finished my first summer session, and I was talking about the Black Liberation Army and explaining to my kids that anytime you see the name Shakur, Afeni Shakur, Tulu Shakur, Tupac Amaru Shakur, you're dealing with somebody who has some roots in BLA, the Black Liberation Army. And I said, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my sister, still exiled in Cuba, Asada Shakur.
Mhm.
One of my students raised his hand and he said, "What in the world does Carne Asada have to do with any of this?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you think I'm talking about Mexican food when I say asada, you know?" And it
Education time.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those where we have a young man in his 20s who's lived in this world as black, and he's never heard the name Asada before. Same way, I had a young lady years ago. I was using a James Baldwin quote, and she asked the question. She said, "Is he one of the Baldwin brothers, like Allen and Steve?" And I'm like, "Wow, wow! You don't even realize that James Baldwin is black." But that's what has happened to us.
Right.
They have our minds,
Yes.
and once
So
they have
it's
our
gotten to the Isaiah, mute your mic for me. It's gotten to the point where you
Okay.
really don't know what is truth because there's so many lies in their favor. Even as far as our children not knowing who these certain people are. It's people, Black history people that they never even discuss,
yeah,
never even talk about.
yeah,
And it's been lost over the history, and it's going to continue to be lost because now they're rewriting the history books. So slavery,
yeah.
we were servants now, instead of slaves. We were brought over here and we were happy. Give me a break. Happy being what? Beat?
One of
Happy
the
being raped? What the hell are you talking about?
one of
But
the
this is what our children are being taught today,
yeah
which is
one of
the
the
most, so,
one
but
of
they're
the
trying to take the connotation and the meaning of slavery away from us so that we can calm those niggas down, calm those black folk down. Let's
yeah. I mean,
rewrite. Let's
you know,
rewrite.
it boils down to the idea of power. and the ability to make something behave in a way that is not in its best interest.
Right.
You don't have these discussions talking about deniers of the Jewish Holocaust.
Right.
You
Right.
know, you have these discussions dealing with Black history. One of
Yeah.
the recent, probably about 10 years ago,
Mhm.
rewritings of the Texas and California
Right.
history textbooks
Mhm.
said that slaves actually had it better
Isn't that
than white
something?
people
Isn't that
because
something?
they didn't have to wear clothes. They could run around naked like they did in Africa.
What the
You
hell?
know, and
Ain't
you're
that
kind
something?
of like you approach it and you say, well, how did y'all let that occur? Well, the truth of the matter is that you're not permitted because you don't have the authority to be included on that committee, on that commission. They do that on their own.
And that's why we need to be separated and educate our own
Yeah, I
babies.
mean, there's really no greater argument for the need to separate. But the one of the problems that we have with separation, and we have with the independent Black school movement, is that because you've been inundated from the very beginning
Mm-hmm.
of white superiority,
Mm-hmm.
that our people don't even really understand or consider an alternative educational system.
Nope.
So you're fighting a uphill battle. You're in many ways like Sisyphus, rolling that boulder up, and it's going to continue to roll back down
Mm-hmm.
because our people are not with you at
Right.
all. Our people are they've been dominated.
Yeah,
Some
oh my God, on so many
and
levels. We don't even
yeah,
think about having our own businesses anymore. We don't
yeah.
even thinking about teaching our children how to think to have their own businesses.
Well,
We
and then you have to really think about the hit job that occurs to with Black folk. Even if you were to take it to COVID, something recent, and look at the PPP loans,
yeah,
darn near every person I see plastered across a major newspaper is a Black person who
yeah,
exploited the PPP loans, and you know just by virtue of the percentages, we can't be the only ones that did that.
exactly. And you already know that. They
Yeah,
got most of that money. It's just the ones that they, you know what I'm saying? But we know who got most of the grant money and where it went. And it wasn't
and
to us.
we know who gets it to this day. That grant
Exactly.
money. Yeah,
Exactly. So,
it's one of those things that really, as a historian, as an academician, even being with PhDs,
mhm,
we're still behind the eight ball
mhm.
because our colleagues, they get their stuff published, right away
Yeah,
by
yeah,
university presses because
yeah. Of
their
course.
their advisors and what have you sit on those boards. They guarantee that they're so on paper they look great. But when you talk about what it is that they actually do in the classroom with our children, I'm not going to say they don't care, but really they don't care like we care.
They don't care.
And
I'm
that's,
just gonna put it out there. I've
yeah.
never seen a person care. Why would I care about my enemy's babies? Because I don't
Well,
care. So I know
yeah,
they don't care either.
but you're hard pressed to get our people to really have an understanding that they are at war every second of the day,
Every
and
second of it, every
and
day.
everything matters. Everything matters. And if
Even
you're,
the
and if
thing when
you're
we think that they're doing something for us, it's always for our demise. And we
you
don't
know
even
I,
understand that.
yeah, I was at getting ready for this hurricane. I was at the store,
Mhm.
and there was a sister, beautiful sister who had her daughter with her, um, and she almost bumped into my cart as she was turned around in the corner. And she said, "Excuse me, my brother," and I said, "Excuse me, my sister." And she just laughed and she said, "Yeah, we need to say hi to each other more, don't we?" And I said, "Yes."
Yes, I
And we
swear we
need to
do.
acknowledge the
I
humanity in each
swear.
other more and more.
Yes. They have
So,
gotten us so brainwashed. I was just talking to my husband about that. We were in the mall earlier. I was picking up something for my daughter, and I walked past a black woman, and she immediately did this, and I looked and I shook my head, and I'm so furiated because I'm so sick of us doing that. We won't change the dynamics. We don't even think about changing the dynamics. And I looked at my husband. I said, "It's so sad that we have been so brainwashed that we won't even acknowledge each other. But that same woman will acknowledge a white woman walking past her, but just ignored me totally."
mhm,
And I
mhm.
wanted to grab, "Hello, do you see me? Hello, how you doing?" And sometimes I force them to speak. But I'm so tired of what I'm seeing that we won't even acknowledge each other. And that's a challenge to me. Let's start it. Let's do something different. Let's change the dynamics. It's up to us to change this shit. If we don't, who will? I mean, look at what we're leaving to our children. This is disgusting. They now don't even want to date each other in elementary school. What are we doing? You see middle schoolers now, the black boys dating the Mexicans, dating the white girls, and leaving the black girls. And now what, we're forced to date white men. No, we have to change that dynamics. And when are we going to start? Now will be a great time to do it. You know, just like that young woman. Every time I see a black man, hey, I'm speaking because I want us to understand that there's no. I'm not in that war. I'm not in that black war, that black and that male and black male, black female war. I'm not having nothing to do with that. But it's up to an individual that we do it individually to begin to change the dynamics. Period.
Yes,
We gotta we gotta unlearn this stuff they taught us, but they've had 70 years to do it. And boy, they've done a good job. Oh, they've done a good job. It's almost it makes you want to cry because you see the damage that they've done to our people. And then they blame you. They blame you for being who you are when they created this.
Yeah. Well, and then the thing is that, you know, the mental illness and the indoctrination that our people have gone through. I mean, you could almost argue that we're dealing from, you know, many of us are suffering from Stockholm syndrome.
Yes,
where they've been kidnapped and now they're protecting their kidnappers.
Yes. Yes. And protect them who hurt you to protect them.
Yeah, well, those are people who will not come to your aid at all.
Right. At all.
They, you know, because they see no value in you.
And then if something happens, remember that 16-year-old, what was her name? She called the police and she got stabbed. She had a gun. No, she got shot like 4 times, but she had a gun, a weapon in her hand, but she was fighting off the grown aunts or sisters that was attacking her. So you don't know how many black folks are saying she should have gotten shot. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What are you saying? That makes no sense what you're saying. The man got out the car immediately and started shooting, and they had every reason why it was okay for her to be dead. I'm like, this is what you guys are dealing with. That right there, they don't ever shoot theirs like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. They don't see the value.
But we give them, we keep giving them reasons why it's okay. So they keep doing it. You giving me a reason? Okay, we're gonna take that. So we're not fighting against what we're seeing. We're agreeing with it, so it keeps happening. And we keep agreeing with it. No. When do we fight against it? When do we come against it and be like, no, we're going to argue that? I don't ever see you treat your own like that. You know,
what your statements are reminding me of that great moment in Spike Lee's Bamboozled, where the first time they debuted the show, it's going to be that blackface show, and Spike does a masterful job. He pans the audience, and the look of horror on the face of the white audience members. They're not moving. They're just looking at each other side by side, you know, taking for granted that black folk are getting ready to riot, if not kill them in this audience. And black folk begin to slowly clap as if what they've just seen was artistic, was uplifting of black folk. Well, fast forward 3-4 more episodes of the show, white folk are arriving at the show in blackface. And the truth of the matter is that you gave them permission to do that.
Right.
Because you're not grounded in anything.
Right.
That's us.
Yep. We give them permission. We'll go against our own, just like when OJ died. You have black folk jumping on the bandwagon. I'm looking at them like, are you kidding me? You got to be kidding. They talk about your own and you talk about him with them. No, you stick together. I don't give a damn if he did it or not. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
But see, the thing is that at least for that moment, they're not focused on me.
Right.
They believe that that's a survival strategy.
Right.
They're not focused on me right now. So let me pile on, and hopefully we can extend the non-focus upon me. But one thing about that racism and bigot train, it never misses a stop. It's never late.
Never late. So how do we begin even now because everything about them, everything they told us, everything they said is a lie. And the deepness of a lie is just so unbelievable that we still not computing it here. How do we begin to untangle the web? Where does
Educate,
it all start? How do we do it? Can we?
education, educate yourself, and spread that education to others. That's what it is. I mean, the only voices and the only things that should be being poured into the vessels of black children are the words and the ideas of liberation minded black folk. Beyond that, we're losing.
And you know what? Even with that liberation of black folk, we're coming very far and in between. You know, you don't see very many, now, because I see a whole lot of, inclusion, and let's all get along, and they're not all bad, and oh, yeah, it's so sickening. And you look at them and you go, you forgot who your enemies. These people are still your enemies, still today. And you marrying them, you're laying with them, you're having babies with them. And then later on, you hear how the white women are treating the mixed babies. You hear this all the time. But our men just don't care. As long as they get free access, it's okay. They don't think about the babies and how this thing that you just laid with, who don't even wash your mind, gonna treat that baby that you're gonna leave with her eventually. None of that's important. None of that's important. Long as they have access, we good. We cool. We good. This is just it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's sad. That's that fan, Isaiah. I'm just kidding.
Say what now? Say what?
I thought I heard your fan over there.
Nah, we good, we good. About that storm though, we got to tell, we got the side effect of that. You know, but yeah, thank God
Yeah.
it didn't hit. And
Yeah.
we on the we got a mountain that separates north and north and south. So that mountain saved us a whole lot of ass whooping from the storm. And Puerto
Yeah.
Rico and all these other Caribbean islands south of Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
they fucked up.
they can
You know what
ready
I
to get
mean?
hit.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they thank God, and the earthquakes that don't really hurt, don't really hit it. We wake up sometime, trembling and mumbling, stumbling, but it ain't like the house gonna fall down. You know what I mean? But we good though.
Yeah.
But let me get back on my horse here, because I had to cuss out the internet. This motherfucker go out. I'm telling you, it go out when you don't want it to go out, and when you want it to go out, it stays on. Like, you bitch, what the fuck? I'm shaking the goddamn computer, motherfucker. I was on. I was on. Well, look, Doc. Yeah. So 1780 to 1965. Okay.
Oh
All right.
Lord, we're not going back to that, are we?
No, because I didn't get a chance to respond, dear Missy.
Okay, go
Sister
ahead.
Pat,
Go
please let me
ahead.
respond. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, sister. Look, I think we are mature enough to understand and to come to the conclusion when we hear bullshit, we hear bullshit. All right. I ain't trying to say Doc is speaking bullshit. I ain't trying to say that we learning bullshit. I'm just saying, let's put all the cards on the table and take a look at it. It is stated that, from what I understood, that 100 million black folks went from Africa to the Americas. Now, that's some bullshit, right? That's not true, because Doc just said that. Estimating between 10 and 12. That's some bullshit. Am I right or wrong?
No,
Can we
that's not
call it
what I
spade a
said.
spade?
No, that's not what I said.
It wasn't 100 million, right?
But no, but what you said, I said that's not what I said. What I said
What you?
was
Okay,
that
go ahead.
if you're counting those that came to the Americas, meaning North America, the British colonies, the Caribbean, things like that. Many people who are bouncing around those huge numbers, like 50 million to 100 million, they're usually talking about including the casualties that occurred, as far as the wars that Africans were ensnared in, how many people died, um, how many people died in regards to the different facets and elements of the transatlantic slave trade. It was the reason why I was asking you to sort of define the parameters for what we were actually talking about, because without defined parameters, we wind up just talking. And you said that you're talking about solely the individuals who are people who are actually in the Americas, in your country. And if we're using that as the sort of the parameter, we're talking about beginning this discussion not in the 16th century with the settling of Roanoke. We're talking about the birth of this nation, which would have been July 2nd, 1776, but they don't get their equality until several years later. So you set those parameters, and if we're using those parameters, you're going to be hard pressed to talk about maybe 1 million to 2 million making it to the former British colonies.
So in all, more or less, I mean, just give me an estimate so I can work on that or work from that. You're saying between 50 to 100 million black people went from Africa to the Americas? That included the Caribbean island, America
No,
proper?
no, that's
No?
no, 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 that's not what I said. What I said is that to come up with that figure, people who are talking about that figure, they're actually they're actually talking about the lives that were lost in the process as well. Um, we know that the number of 50 million is way too high because of ship logs from captains. They took immaculate numbers, kept immaculate records, and also insurance companies. So we know that it's not 50 to 100 million that made it here. But when you're talking about the carnage and the death that happens over several centuries, because you got to remember how brutal the entire process of slave trading is. It's a business that number would be 50 to 100 million, but nobody truly knows how many died because we don't have those records.
Okay. So let me, now I want to make sure that I'm not going off track here. Dead or alive, arrived or not, it's about 100 million, 50 to 100 million.
The most extreme counts from Black historians and African
Right.
historians put that number there. I've seen numbers that go up to 150 to 200 million, but who
Okay.
knows? Those are just guesstimates that
Okay.
that are not based upon any stats or any records and what have you.
Okay. All right. So let's say on a conservative basis, 40 to 70 million. Is it like, we can go with that?
That made it to the Americas.
No. Made it and not made it. Died or made it alive. We can basically, we can go
I
with that
can't.
40 to 70 million.
I mean, I can't prove or
Yeah. Okay.
disprove.
Well, all right. Okay.
I
Okay.
can't
Well,
argue
well
for or
let,
against
okay.
that.
Okay. Well, let me say it this way. When was they came supposedly on ships, right? From Africa to the Americas, right?
That they came primarily on ships. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you have to remember that the seafaring history of the African, as well as the seafaring history of individuals that we refer to as Vikings, that that venture, because Vikings are trading with the indigenous population. We know this as a historical fact. They're trading with them for decades, if not centuries, before the first slave ship left. So the trip was not a risky one that they didn't know about. The only person who really ventured out that we have records for that this trip proved to be treacherous for is Christoph Columbus, who had no idea of where he was going. He was in many ways ignorant. Columbus, you got to remember that Christoph Columbus was aiming to reach India. He therefore had no understanding that there was a North American, a South American, and also a Caribbean that stood in his way. And in many ways, he should be glad that he did run into Santo Domingo, because if he had not run into Santo Domingo, they would have all perished, because he simply didn't know what he was doing. And we could argue about Mansa Musa making that trip before, okay, which I don't dispute. I don't deal with that at all. But I know that the Vikings were here before, and more than likely Mansa Musa made the trip before.
Okay. Now, like I said before, we're going to just put the facts on the table, all right? There were no Carnival Cruise Line ship at that point that can carry 6 to 8,000 people.
No,
These ships, hold on. Let me put all my cards on the table, and then you can respond. There were
no, I
none.
didn't. I
No,
wasn't going to respond, man. Go ahead.
no, okay. So since there were no Carnival Cruise Line ships that can carry 4 to 6,000 people at a time, and all of them lived, these little barges that they had weren't ships. A ship is a boat with a motor. That did not happen until 1806, and it got better over time. So when you're looking at the transportation of so-called slaves from the west coast of Africa to the Americas, that including my island, Cuba, South America, Central America, North America, Canada, wherever the case may be, that did not happen. They had sails at that point. The ship is a boat with a motor. That did not happen until 1806. Secondly, there's no way in the world that 40 million, 50 million, 150 million can be transported from the Americas, from Africa to the Americas over that period of time. The technology was not there. Number three, and this is very important, it was reversed. The transportation was reversed from the Americas, because we were already here as Black people, as the indigenous autochthonous Indians, from the Americas to Europe and Africa. The reason being is that the old blood is more prominent in the Americas than anywhere else on the planet, including Africa. Number five, when you're looking at history and you're talking about slavery, like you just said, it wasn't 160 years. If you count 1965, you can't count that. Slavery ended, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Slavery ended in 1865 with the Civil Rights Act. The one in 1965 is better known as the Indian Civil Rights Act. Indian Civil Rights Act. Indian Civil Rights Act. The one that impacted not only so-called Black enslaved people was the one in 1865. That is a federal law. It hasn't gone anywhere. That has more pack and more power and more punch than any so-called 1965-68 law. It
Okay.
just doesn't have it. And hold on. And the fact of the matter is, and that can be proven, it has been proven, that a white mixed couple fought the U.S. government and the people who were trying to keep them from buying real estate for their family with that 1865 Civil Rights Act law. That is the land. That is the land. That is a what do they call that? That is the law of the land that is still active. That people are not talking about and not dealing with it. Ulysses S. Grant created the Department of Justice for that very reason, to fight with that law in 1865 against the so-called KKK and other groups that came along later. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered that's not being answered. And there's nowhere in the world, and I'll wrap it up with this, Thomas Sowell said, Black people, you know who Thomas Sowell is, right? Black people took more white folks into slavery than white folks took us into slavery. We took them like 7 to 8 million white folks into slavery.
When
Now
was
this
this?
man is this is Thomas Sowell.
When did we do that?
SOWEL. Huh?
When did we do that? When did we do that to them?
He's very well known to know that. All over the internet,
What century was this?
This was years ago. Oh,
Okay.
you can look up.
When though?
Yeah, look it up. Huh?
When? Give us a
Years
time
ago,
frame.
years. Huh? I don't know. That
Hold
information.
on. Okay, let's put you on it. No. You are not gonna sit up here and spread lies that you can't even prove. You're talking out your ass right now. You can't
Google
prove
Thomas
nothing what you're saying.
Sowell. Hold on, baby.
No, we're not gonna hold on.
Google Thomas Sowell,
Until
and
you
he's gonna
bring
tell
some proof.
you.
No, bring some proof. Bring some proof.
No, baby, no. See, this is the reason why I say it's so difficult to overcome the lies and the deceit. Yeah,
Okay,
hold
but
on.
let me know when I can respond.
Oh no, yeah, but I'm just kind of expanding because it's necessary. It is so hard that when you have been indoctrinated into lies and deceitful practices of the educational system in America, it is very difficult to accept what is true. Thomas Sowell said, and that is true, that black people have sent into slavery more white folk than they did. How in the hell can white folk, when we were running the Atlantic Ocean, controlled it, the Barbary pirates?
You ain't even making no sense what you're saying
Oh,
right now.
hold on,
I'm
baby.
sorry. No. Hold on.
All I'm trying to say, hold on.
I know what you're trying to say. Show me some proof.
No.
Until you show some proof, you sitting up here talking out your ass and you have no proof.
Folk can take black people into slavery
When
America was paying tribute to the Barbary pirates.
show me proof that we had their asses in slavery. Show me proof. You're talking some Dana Calloway shit.
These are facts. I'm not talking outside my neck.
Yes, you are.
I'm talking outside of my mouth.
Show me proof that we had them in captivity. Show me. You talking. Show me. That slavery happened. You can't show us proof of what you talking about, that white folks was enslaved, that we had them enslaved.
Where, hold on, baby.
Show me proof.
Hold on.
I'm holding on.
They were already enslaved in Europe. Where do you think they get the serf? Hold on. I'm trying to explain.
Okay, go ahead.
Where do you think they get the word serf? Where do you get the word? Where do you think they get the word serf from? And landlords and villains.
Where?
Whether you call a slave a serf, a slave, it's still the same thing. You feel me? All up and down and throughout Europe, white folks have always been slaves. That's where you get the word Slavic and
so
the European from.
Slaves.
The word, yes, all throughout North Africa. And the harem.
You ain't showing no proof.
Yes, and in America.
Show us proof.
They were transported in to work to the tobacco and sugar plantation. I'm telling you.
Okay, maybe so, but let's go on. Let's move forward. Because whatever, until he shows proof, I ain't talking about that shit. Go ahead.
Then you need, baby girl, you need to read my book because you ain't read nothing. Y'all ain't read nothing.
Until you show proof. Do you show proof in your book?
I just did. How in the hell can you have a black king named King James, King Charles, and King George who was sending these serfs over here? You had the Highlanders and you had the Lowlanders.
How much they paying you? I'm looking at you suspect now. I'm looking at you suspect.
Look.
How much they paying your ass to do that?
King James was a black guy, not a white guy.
Over there. You didn't
King James was a black guy, not a white guy.
Okay.
All of Europe had nothing but royal family that were black.
Okay, that might be so. Okay. Back in the day,
even the royal family of Hawaii were black.
Okay,
their land was stolen.
Okay,
You feel
I
me?
can believe that. Okay, I can believe
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I do
But
know back in the day we
but
were all kings and queens. I do understand that. Okay. But when you're talking about when we had them in captives and they were, and you don't have no dates, that's what you doing. Let's move
see,
forward because
look, 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 look.
because
This is
I'm
what we're
tired
gonna
of
do,
you
Brother
sitting up there
Muhammad.
doing that and
Brother
don't have no
Muhammad, Brother
proof.
Muhammad,
You always
Brother
do that
Muhammad,
and don't have no
Sister
proof.
Cassidy,
Post
I
some proof.
love you, baby.
I love
I
you too.
love you.
You ain't finna sit up
I,
there and do that without no proof. Because I ain't gonna believe
look,
that. I don't
no,
believe
look,
that.
no, no. What we're going to do
What we gonna do is you gonna
the
find some proof.
very next
Then you
time,
gonna bring
well,
some
no,
proof.
I'm going to say not the very next time. When Brother Muhammad says we're going to take a deep look into Brother Isaiah's book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, and
Because
we're
you
going
ain't
to
got no proof
decipher
up
that
in there
shit.
either.
Because
So
you
if you
know,
have
because
proof, if
if you
your
want,
ass
wait,
has
hold,
the proof
Doc,
and you
wait, you
telling me
tell
some
us,
proof, why am I gonna
Doc,
read your
Doc,
proof and you can't tell me no
Doc,
proof here?
Doc,
Where the
Doc,
proof
Doc.
at?
In my book, I prove
Where's
it
the
where
proof?
white folk come from.
Do you
White
have proof
folk
in
come
your
from
book?
Dravidian albino that made it with normal black folk that
Isaiah.
we put into Central Asia.
Okay,
They got
Isaiah.
connected with the Turks, the
Okay.
white Turks, because the Turks were originally black.
From now
But
on, when you
because
talk,
of
I
the,
want
hold
you to
on,
have
but
some proof.
because, well, hold on, but because of the fact that it wasn't shot-tail slavery and the Turkish Empire, they had the opportunity to rise up and become the Pasha, whatever the case
That's
may
where you
be.
be pulling this
And
stuff out your
so when
behind.
they connected with the Turks, they broke past the Persian Wall,
Okay.
the Hadrian Wall there, and
Uh-huh.
entered into our Holy Roman Black Empire.
Okay.
You should know by now that the first few Turks were black. You should know this. And
Okay,
that
you
pushed
getting off the subject.
the
The subject
papacy,
was
hold
you
on,
proving that
that
we
pushed
had
the
them in
papacy
slavery.
from Italy,
That's the subject. You
from
going all
Italy
the way
into
left field
France.
again. And you come on back.
No, 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 I'm giving you the facts.
Okay, come
These
on
were
back.
all black people. There were nothing but people, black people on the
Isaiah, we
planet.
know that. You're not telling us. We know that part. It was a lot of black. We
Okay,
know
but
what you
if
said
you
talking
know
about.
that, then you should know that King James was black.
Okay, it was two King James, right? Was it two King
There was
James? One was black and one was white, right?
there were no white nothing. There were no white nothing. Stop giving these white folk more credit than they deserve. They don't have no credit. They don't have no history. They just started speaking 1,000 years ago.
Okay,
There
I
were no
understand.
white royalty at all. They stole that.
We know that, Isaiah. But you said that they were captives. We had them in captives. You had them as slaves. Show me that proof. That's the only proof that I'm asking for right now. Show me that. Show
What
me the
proof?
proof where you said that we had them in captivity and they were our slaves. Show me that proof. We have proof as
Yeah,
far as our slaves. We have proof as far as what we went through. But I don't see nowhere in history that you telling me that we were owners of them. Now that's coming in the future, but I ain't seen nothing in the past. Now that's coming in the future. Okay. That part what you talking about, that's coming in the
that was in the past, baby. That was in the past. You giving too much
okay, but
credit
there
to
I
these
go
white
again.
folks.
You're not showing proof.
Yeah.
Show me proof. Don't
No,
just say it without
look,
coming up with dates. Show me a date. Can I
what
look
I
it up right
sent
now on
you
my
on
phone?
WhatsApp. Did you watch what I sent you on WhatsApp, baby?
Is that your proof?
Did you watch? Did
Is that
you
your proof
watch
that you was
what I
telling me
sent?
that we were captivity? We were in you were in cap they were in captivity.
Thomas, yes, that's the reason why Iceland every year commemorate the fact that black people came around their skirt of their island or whatever the hell it is and came onto that island to kidnap white folks or these Tomahawks or these pale skins. They commemorate that shit, better known as the Vikings. They commemorate that every year.
Okay.
They don't go at that point in time. They didn't go along the shore because they knew that these black people would be coming and kidnap them or take them into slavery. That's not a fantasy. That's some real shit. That is exactly what happened. Harems have always been in existence throughout Africa with the pale skin. You gotta know that, as well as in Europe. The first Europeans were black. Period. These people, better known as white folks, came later. Came later.
Maurice, we done?
You want to respond, Doc? You can go and take the flow, baby. Take the flow.
My thing is that, we have to be very careful with what we consider evidence and what we say into a mic, because quite simply, it's allowing your voice and your thoughts and your research to reach tens of thousands, if not millions of people. This will be preserved for all time. Now, several things that I'll say. One, you spoke about Andrew Johnson, and I remember our battle about Andrew Johnson. You refused to admit that Andrew Johnson had been Lincoln's vice president, not realizing that Lincoln had won twice. He won in 1860, and then he wins again in 1864 with Andrew Johnson as his VP. One of the more unusual presidential tickets, with Lincoln being a Republican and Johnson being a Democrat. Once again, Lincoln is killed early into his second administration. And so Andrew Johnson takes over. Andrew Johnson has the shame of being the first sitting American president to ever be impeached. And he's impeached by the Republican Party. And the reason why the Republican Party impeached him is that Johnson refuses to protect what they are planning on being a solid voting bloc for them, and that is recently emancipated black folk. Now, in saying that, you mentioned the Civil Rights Act that occurred under Johnson's administration. And if I can, I'm not sure, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, sir, you can.
Okay. I want you to take a look at this and tell me what you think, because a big part of the last part of your argument was quite simply all we needed to do was focus upon Johnson's Civil Rights Act. And this is what I want you to deal with. Okay. Andrew Johnson, one of the primary reasons that he does get impeached is that he vetoes that Civil Rights Act that you're talking about. Okay. An act to protect all persons in the United States and their civil rights and furnish the means of their vindication. And this was the second attempt by Congress to grant federal citizenship to freedmen. Johnson, in every way, is going to sort of, he vetoes it. He doesn't allow that to go through. So it's in many ways a moot point. Now, when we're talking about the idea of motorized ships, come on, brother Isaiah, you're clowning. Right now, I'm looking out. I'm on the second floor of my loft, and I'm looking out at the window, and we just had a humongous band of rain that came hitting the window. And I bring that up for this purpose. As you well know, you just talked about the hurricane missing you guys. When we're talking about travel across the Atlantic Ocean, you don't need a mechanized motor to do it. You need a mechanized. And one of the justifications, and if you really want to talk about nature showing you a truth, if you're really willing to look at it and accept it for what it is, the path that hurricanes travel to this day, and this has been the annals of time, they follow the same path that slave ships followed. There's no doubt about it. Now, when you think about where our people were dropped off at, we were dropped off in the Caribbean. And in your statement, you yourself just said that the Hurricane Beryl just came through the Caribbean. Okay, the winds coming across the Atlantic are going to take you to South America if you know how to harness the wind. It's going to take you to New Orleans. It's going to take you to Houston. It's going to take you to Puerto Rico, to the Dominican Republic, to Santo Domingo, to Jamaica. These are all places where our people were deposited in the New World. So you don't need a ICE, a combustible engine to travel across the Atlantic. You don't need it to this day. The hurricanes that I'm literally sitting here waiting to hit landfall in about 6 hours, it didn't need a motor. It was pushed this way by the wind. The same way that the ships were pushed this way by the wind. Now, I am not saying that it is impossible for you to go from the Americas to Europe, back to Africa. That is possible if you are an expert salesman and know how to harness the winds. But the natural flow of wind, if you were to put a ship in the Atlantic off the coast of Africa, winds are going to naturally push it across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. Those are just facts of nature. There's no getting around that. And the idea that Thomas Sowell, I know that brother well. I've read his stuff since I was in undergrad. Sowell is an economist. He's not a historian. Okay, and economists are looking at raw data. They're not dealing with historical issues and things like that. So when Sowell talks about the things he talks about, he's talking about it purely numerically. He's not talking about what happened as far as human interaction and what have you. And it's okay for us to go ahead and really embrace our history and not deny significant parts of it that may make us look as if we were conquered by other people. You know, the European utilized his ingenuity for war and for destruction. The African had no reason to really do that. And it's one of the reasons why he's going to experience what it is he experiences. And to add matters to that, we got to remember that the African is in many ways devoid of the other, meaning devoid of the presence of a different race that would cause them to rally together in the same way that our indigenous brothers and sisters were devoid of an opposite race that caused them to come together. They only come together in that midnight hour that they're going to be conquered by these people. They're going to be killed by this foreign invader. And I yield.
Let me say this in response to that. You are correct, 100% that Johnson vetoed it, but you're leaving out a slight detail. Congress and the Senate approved it and made it a federal law. Just because the president vetoed it does not
We
mean
were
that it's not
we were simply talking about Johnson at that point,
right.
not
But
what
I'm saying,
because they had to impeach Johnson. Okay, they don't remove him because they don't want to destroy the idea of a system of checks and balances, but they do take over the Reconstruction process. It's what historians. It's one of the demarcation lines that separates the idea of presidential Reconstruction from 1865 to 1867 to congressional Reconstruction with Thaddeus Stevens, Charles Sumner running it from 1867 to 1871 before the South takes over in 1871 and holds sway all the way through 1876.
okay. But my thing is that after he vetoed it, the Senate and Congress approved it, overrode his bullshit veto. Number two, number two, when you talk about the ship and the boat, I understand that. There's a natural current that goes from Africa to the Americas. I'm not saying
Oh,
that
oh
you
I
needed
forgot. I forgot to deal with your other issue. Your other issue was that they what was it that the numbers don't add up. Well, no one is, and I certainly didn't say that there were 50 million who came over. I think that
right.
that we agree upon that point. That when we're talking about
I
those humongous numbers, that what we're actually talking about is the totality of death that was surrounding the events that leads to the resituating of persons of African descent throughout the Western diaspora. But I think that this might kind of illuminate that number one, that number that you're trying to use. Once again, it's too big, but this may highlight or illuminate something for you that you might actually find this kind of interesting. To be honest with you, um, if I can figure out how to share a video.
Oh hell, we're on lost Doc. We gotta. Hopefully, he'll be right back in. I want to say this, Grand Poobah, welcome to the program. But what you misunderstanding is even if a cracker was on this panel and said the stuff that Brother Isaiah is saying, Sister Cassie still would say, "Show me your proof. Show me your proof." There ain't no such
Yeah,
thing
no,
as a white person coming up
yeah,
saying something
about
and we can
the
believe it. No,
Okay,
it's about where's your evidence.
I clicked myself out, I think.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
Oh,
Doc.
let
go ahead,
me
Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
yeah, here it is right here. This will be the just take a look at this. And I think that it will illuminate, because until
Oh,
I know for my
this
students
again,
that until they
this
actually
bullshit
see
again
this, they don't
with
really
the dot.
understand it.
Doc, is this bullshit with the
No, no,
dot?
no, no, brother. I'll let you go. Just take a moment and just watch
Okay,
this.
okay, yeah, I've seen this 100 times. But go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, some of them dots are big as fuck, and some of them dots are tiny as fuck. So these big dots
So
were
that would denote that some ships had larger cargo than others did, brother. And if you look at the bottom, it's actually supporting what it is that you were trying to say. That there are north of 3.6 million who make it to the Caribbean, 2.4 million Brazil, and a paltry number that made it to the mainland of North America, not even reaching 400,000. So that's what you're actually seeing there. What you're seeing here is the repatriation of persons of African descent. And if you know your American history, if you look at the number, it'll be very interesting to observe what's happening with the North American continent as we get close to 1776. I guarantee that you'll see a precipitous decline of how many ships are making it to the North American continent, because Britain has outlawed the transatlantic slave trade, because they do not want these Africans further strengthening these rebellious colonists. And so I think that when you really approach the idea, and as you can see, that it stopped from 1776 because they outlawed it. Okay. Now, in saying that, let me also say that that you have to in every way embrace our legacy, the good and the bad, and you gotta be very careful about the sources that you're using. Don't allow the end goal of your story and what you desire to have said to guide you along your path of what is evidence, and really to guide you along the path of what are going to be the questions that you're going to ask. Because once again, and this is sort of the frightening thing, that your message and your voice carries carries in an amazing way in regards to this technology. And you have a responsibility to be studied, to be learned, and to be open to learning other things. On several of the shows we have, they turn towards economics and discussions about stocks and things like that. And each time it does, I take a step back and I allow you to lead, because that's your area of expertise, or at least you're more of an expert in that area than I am. But it's one of those where to hear that one of our own, who I truly believe loves our people and cares for our people, is denying a significant part of how we got to where we're at. That is something that none of us should be willing to stand for, because it's historically unsupportable. It's offensive to our ancestors, and it has no real historical basis and footing. Because what you're risking, and this is what I've seen happen so many times to other people, and I pray it doesn't happen to you, is that people will take your words, they will take your ideas, and they will either use it to make an argument that nothing happened to Black folks, so they are truly just inferior, or they will take your argument and they will research it and say, look, they're all full of bullshit. This ain't even what it says right here. There is no support for that. That's the danger of allowing one's desires for a certain outcome to drive their research and their interest. And I yield.
Let me say this. Let me ask you something, Doc. 'Cause, Uh, Brother Muhammad said, "Oh, there were no black people in the Americas, whether it's North America proper, Canada, the Caribbean islands, South America, or Central America. Were there black people in America before 1492?
Define for me black.
Well, just for dark-skinned people, melanated people.
See, that's where we run aground, because we're talking about things that are not defined, and it's very similar to how I asked you to define America. What are we actually talking about? And you said, well, the nation that I'm a citizen of. Well, that creates some parameters for me. Now, are you talking about the modern day understanding of blackness that come from black folk? Are you talking about persons of African descent? Are what are you are if you're talking about melanated people, are you talking about indigenous people? They have melanin, they have
The
melanin
indigenous
as well, but they're not persons of African descent, and that's where we kind of get. I mean, I'm just asking for clarity. I'm asking for clarity on what it is you're saying.
You just hit the nail on the head. I am talking about the indigenous, autochthonous people of the Americas, like the Taino. I got Taino blood.
But wait a minute, man. It's disingenuous. It's disingenuous for you to talk about there being melanated people in the Americas without saying, I'm talking about, were there non-white people here in the Americas? That's a different presentation. Now, I'm quite sure that Brother Muhammad would understand what you're talking about if you say that within my definition and my understanding of melanated people, that I also include indigenous people. That would be a more straightforward and truthful, versus if you say black people, you are number one, putting us in a contemporary mindset of our understanding of what blackness is, instead of, and it's kind of a disingenuous thing. And it's one of the things that, words matter. And we have to be very careful with how we communicate and to whom we communicate. Okay. And we can't be playing games of gotcha when our people are dying in the streets and suffering on a daily basis.
Okay, well, let's go with what you just said. Were there melanated and or autochthonous and or non-white people as we know us to be today in the Americas long before the so-called white man came to the Americas?
Hell no. No. Of course there were. Of course there were, man. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can go back to Christopher Columbus's very diary, where when he runs aground in Santo Domingo, Columbus is going to talk about how good looking these people, how well built they are, and he describes them as melanated people. You can look at the priest Lacasis, who wrote about this. There's no doubt that's as true and verifiable as the transatlantic slave trade is.
But nobody on here told him or said that there wasn't. His argument was
Brother Muhammad said so.
He never said that.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, but even with you,
there were no black people here, or melanated people here.
That's even Brother Muhammad knew that there were. Anyway, just like you said, Christopher Columbus was black.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus was black. He buried right here in the Dominican Republic. He was Christopher Columbus, or Cristobal Colon, was a Portuguese Jew. The Portuguese, way back then, were nothing but melanated, brown-skinned to super black-skinned people. That's a fact. That's not an imagination in my mind. That's a fact.
But that's not a
was
fact.
not white.
That is
a fact. That is a fact. Wait, Where
so
do you
busy
think?
talking, you're not even listening.
Hold on, baby. Where do you think white people come from?
When
Please
when you
explain.
talk about
From the devil. That's
when
where they
you
came
I
from.
love y'all, man.
And that's
I
true.
love
We can
y'all.
have proof of
You
that.
know, we gonna get into it
We
now.
got
See.
proof of that. Got
I
it.
got proof. I be sending y'all shit. Y'all don't be looking at nothing.
Because
Y'all just be hold
you be
on.
coming over stuff out your dude.
Hold on. You don't be looking at nothing. I be sending to you. Oh my Lord. Do you see this? You see what I got to deal with, Doc? See what I got to deal with? You see this?
But we
Come
still
on.
love you though.
Y'all, yeah, I love y'all too. But damn, look at what I send you. Everybody in the comments, please look for the book called The Secret. No, wait, hold on. I want to make sure I get it right.
Oh,
I put it here in the chat, but it didn't come up.
so Doc,
Hold
what's
on.
Christopher
Hold on, baby. Memoirs of the Secret Service of John Mackey, Mackey. It's
Where you getting
free.
your information? Let me look it up. Let
It's
me look at it.
free. Almost 400 pages. It's free. Look at that book. It gives you the manifest of what these people look like, first-hand sight of what these people look like. You're talking about the king, the queen, the duke, the duchess, the princess, all of the earls and what have you of England and throughout Europe. They were black.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where did he get that information?
Exactly.
I'm sorry?
Where did John Mackey get that information?
He saw it on first sight by his own eyes. He's writing this book. He is the employee of, if I'm not mistaken, Queen Elizabeth I, if I'm not mistaken. Whoever the
And
queen was at that
how many years did John Mackey cover in his book?
hold on. This is Queen. Oh, let me take that back. Not Queen Elizabeth. The memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mackey, Esquire, during the reigns of King William, who was black, Queen Anne, and King George I of London, 1733. Look at that book.
You're not answering what I'm asking you. I'm asking you
Go
for
ahead.
the years that he covers. That's what I'm asking you for.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see. Okay. Let me go back. It might be here. Hold on. So, well, it couldn't be beyond his death, obviously. But
that's an
yeah,
issue.
yeah, it couldn't be from 1732 starting all the way to what is it? All the way to, let me get back here. From the looks of it, I can't tell you when. From 1732 to whatever.
Yeah. See, one of the things that when I was researching my my MA thesis and my doctoral dissertation, one of the rules that my advisor had, Dr. Warren Van Tine, white guy, Marxist, he said, read and read and read until you're no longer surprised. And for John Mackey's story to be considered true, you would need to read and read all of these people that he wrote about to cross-reference it. And then you need to look at what are their sources and what are, especially if they're not primary documents, if they're not first-person accounts. And that's how you get to what occurred. You can't go on what even 3 or 4 people say was the truth. You need to verify, like the transatlantic slave trade. I purposely went to the dungeons because I need to firsthand see, is this true of what happened? I need to walk the trails to tell, if this is really true when they talk about the paths that they took, that where they would bathe them at. I have first person experiences with those, okay, on both sides of the Atlantic. And therefore, I've read for 20, 30 years, and I don't even do the slave stuff because I don't like it. It bothers me. Okay. But I got to the point where the story was so familiar and repeating itself, and it's coming from 60, 70 different people, not just scholars, but also individuals like Olaudah Equiano, Phyllis Wheatley, that I was finally convinced that this definitely happened. Okay. But it wasn't due to one book, it wasn't due to one video, it wasn't due, and especially in this day and age when anyone can get up on the internet, and Negroes are very susceptible to this, that if someone is saying what they want to hear, they're gonna give it a tremendous validity. Okay. If someone is slick with what they're saying, they're entertaining, they can get you to laugh, like Umar Johnson. Well, look here, he will empty your pockets. So I guess what I'm saying is be careful. Verify, 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 and then verify some more.
Yeah, Doc, this is not just one book. Not only in this book,
you're just talking about John Mackey. That's where I was at.
Right. But there's more than just one book. You just cannot, I agree with you. You just cannot look at one book and say, oh, yeah. That does not satisfy
but wait a minute. Hold on. Do you understand that when you're looking at books, unless they are self-written autobiographies, a whole stream and host of them, that you're really dealing with the word of someone who hopefully touched the primary document and is now telling you about it. There's a lot of room in that for some chicanery. You get what I'm saying? I mean, if you're just reading the accounts of Thomas Jefferson, you could be convinced that he loved Sally Hemings. NBC did a movie titled Tom and Sally in Paradise when he took her to Paris. That's one view of it. But when you weigh out everything, come on, it was rape. And I must say, Grand Poobah, I love the name. It's reminded me of Brand Nubian. Slow down.
All right, there we go. I'm up here talking and I'm on mute. We are at our time for today. And unfortunately, we had many more topics to get into, to discuss. But if everybody is available, we can come back tomorrow and finish this up because I really believe it's important. I hope this time, and this will be my second time, letting Brother Isaiah know ahead of time that this is what we're going to be talking about. So hopefully he can present some evidence. Because just because you say it out your mouth,
y'all don't listen.
Y'all don't listen.
Y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen.
Show and prove.
Y'all don't listen, man.
It's like Doc said. He went to Elmina. He was there in the slave dungeon.
I went to Texas. Does that mean I know everything about a motherfucking Texas? God damn.
Really?
I went to Texas, and I know every motherfucking thing about Texas.
Okay, so
man, come on, man. Y'all gotta
don't get so excited about your. Don't get so excited about your truth. That's your truth.
Look, this is the challenge I want to bring. Hold on. Doc, if you can agree, Brother Muhammad, if you can agree, to Cassie, if you can agree, one day soon, maybe within the next 2 weeks, we're gonna do my book on this motherfucking podcast.
No, we're not.
We're
not. No, we're not.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I got all the proof, but you don't want to hear it.
Okay, but that's just like me coming up with something and me just talking, and it's my mind, okay, which is okay. It could be yours, but I need to back it up with something. You ain't backing your.
It is backed up. How can you not? How can you tell me that my information in my book is not backed up by anything?
Okay, we just asked you. You didn't have anything backed up. When we asked you a question about something that came out of your mouth, you said, "I don't know," right? But yes or
I
no?
never said that.
Okay, what did you
I
say?
never
When
said
we
that. I
asked
don't
you
know.
about, well, I can't even. It was so
About
much.
America? What is America?
Brother Isaiah, in all seriousness, what archives did you visit during the research for your book, and what primary documents did you use?
Ooh, there were hundreds.
Of archives?
Whether it's
Where?
archives, whether it's books, whether it's whatever.
No. I'm just dealing with primary documents. What archives did you visit? Where were your sources? Where were your? Where
Online,
were?
there are no archives. Hold on, man. There are no
No.
archives here in the Dominican Republic. I'm
You
going
said
by
there is no
firsthand.
archives.
There are no archives here in the Dominican Republic. None
Where'd
that
you
I
So
know
you're
of.
saying, that you
But
didn't visit
all of
any?
my no, I didn't visit none and sit down and read. No, I got all of my information from archives that you can access online.
So where did they get
If
their
you look,
information from?
it doesn't look. Be fair. I can be fair with you, and I read your book, Miss Cass.
Isaiah, hold
I'm
on.
gonna hold on, and I want to read your book, Doc, and Brother Muhammad's book, because I want you guys to come on to the show. Now, in all fairness, it would be only fair if you read my book. Like, don't make assumptions about something you don't know nothing about that I'm talking about.
You
My
know, the
book
shock,
is
the
filled with
thing,
facts, not
that would
opinions.
probably,
Yeah, go ahead,
the
bro. Go
thing
ahead,
that
bro.
would probably, the thing that would probably shock you, Brother Isaiah, is I have read your book.
Mm.
I have read your
Wait,
book.
really? I'm shocked. I am really shocked.
No, I mean,
Are you bullshitting me? Are you bullshitting me?
anyone that I'm associated with, I read this stuff. My colleagues that I went to Ohio State with, my colleagues that I work with right now, I usually, and I bought your book. I usually don't pay no money, number one, and I request an autographed copy because I have a special place in my office that I put all of the people's books that have autographed them for me. Yeah. So if you want to send me an autographed copy, it'll go in my office.
Well, that paperback, that's $34. I wish I could, but that's $34. That's the reason why I put in an ebook one. You really got me off my tilter. God damn. You read my book. Nah, I am. Seriously, you read my book.
Oh my goodness.
Which one? Both of them? Both of them?
brother, you would be shocked at how much I read.
Wait. You read book 1 and book 2? Now
I read the one that I could find online. That's the one that I read.
No, it's fine online. There ain't no book on fine online.
How
You
did
gotta
I
buy
buy
that
it?
from that. You
That's
gotta
what
buy
I
it
mean.
from
I
Amazon.
bought it online.
Oh, okay. On Amazon.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
online.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. You read both?
No, I
You
only
fucking with
saw
my
one.
head.
I only saw one. If I had seen a second one, I would have read that as well.
Doc, thank you for reading.
I don't engage people on stuff they've written that I haven't read. You constantly hear me saying you constantly hear me saying here that I don't know about that.
Brother Muhammad, I am blown away. I am lost for words. God damn.
Why?
Because I didn't think. Wait, hold on, Doc. Doc. Book one, hold on. Book 1 deals with the overarching question that runs through the minds and hearts of Black folks. Why do white people hate Black people so much? The second book deal with white supremacy and what that is and how that started and why it
Okay.
is and why I say that
I
white
read
supremacy.
I got the first one now,
Yeah, the
and
second one is right there.
I'll go and I'll search out the second. But you say
Yeah, it's
it's an
right there.
ebook. You say
It's
it's an ebook
right
as
under
well.
each other. I mean, you can't miss it. You
Okay.
got that black man being burned in the fire with white folks around him,
Okay.
and
You said it's
yeah,
you said it's in ebook form, correct? The
yeah.
second one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you fucking my head up. I am very, I'm shocked. What the hell? Yeah, the white man burden of lies and deceit, book 2, understanding white supremacy.
Okay. We'll jump on it. We'll jump on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
one of the things that I'm an '80s kid, '70s '80s kid. So, you know, I love hip hop.
What year were you born? What year were you born, sir?
70,
Doctor?
1970.
70? Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah.
You older than
And
me.
one of the things is as being still to this day a hip hop head. You know, some of the best hip hop is not played on the radio. You know, and just as I will listen to them, you know, is how I found Big Crit. I love, you know, the new Lupe Fiasco album. You know, those are things that are not played. And just as you have someone like Francis Cress Welsing, who was talking about the origins and operationalization of white world supremacy, you know, I'll engage her just as, and I'll engage you in the same way. I'm not going to agree with everything,
I,
but you know, I'll
I
read.
am very shocked. What the fuck?
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't
I
be. I
don't
believe
know,
it.
but you, I
But
don't
that
know.
takes me back to the question and the statement and the assertion of quite simply what you say here and what you write will reach
Mhm.
corners and places that you can never imagine.
Right,
You don't know who's read you. You know, you
right.
have no idea.
But let me throw this out. The people, look, I was in a conversation on Facebook. I didn't know this guy. I don't know him from nothing from Adam. And he said, "Are you the author of the White Man Burden of Lies and Deceit?" He bought 4 copies and gave them to people, not like physical copies, but 4 ebook copies. I'm like, well, damn, you know what I mean? So I was really happy about it, and I was really it hit me hard, man. Like words do count. The other thing is that it's now of no importance because I put it in the book. One of the first comments from this white guy was saying, it might be true about what he's talking about. Well, motherfucker, I wrote back there, it is true, bitch. I'm like, damn, y'all motherfuckers just be making up some shit, talking about you done did that. White folks can't claim that near civilization. You know that.
Yeah, but see
Not one.
now the question becomes to definitively prove it, and you
Yeah, it can be
definitively
proven. That's what there
prove
is
one
absolutely positively
when
no
if you
civilization on
want
this planet
to
that white folks live in.
if you want to talk about King Charles or whoever it is was black, take your black ass
Right.
over there, get in their archives and prove that shit, so that they
Yeah, I,
cannot dispute what it is that you're saying.
all of that in
Have you
my
ever
book.
have you ever read Sheikha Anta Diop?
Yeah.
Okay,
Practically all of his books.
that's what Diop did. Okay, and his work stands to this very day. You know, you have to literally be born to do this. It has to be a unquenchable desire in your core to write, to
Right.
research, and what have you.
Oh,
And
of course.
you know,
And let me say this. I pay homage to you because you took the time and the energy and the love of our people to get your PhD. I'm not going to water that down. I can't water it down because that would be an insult to you and to
yeah,
all of your hard work. But
yeah,
hear me out. But hear me out. The thing is my question to you, if I'm just saying, if you believe that King James was white and
I
you
had no
find
idea.
out later that he, well, no, listen what I'm saying,
Go ahead.
and you find out that he's black and that King Charles is black and King George is black and that whoever else like George Washington was black, and all the time you've been thinking, you know, these people were white. But wait a minute, I got proof that they were black. Would that not change you to make you more determined to find out even more about what really happened rather than believing in what this cracker said?
I mean, I can see that
Doesn't that
line of I can see that line of thinking, but just
right,
personally for me, I could give a fuck less because I don't
right?
think that has any impact whatsoever on the survival and flourishing of Black folk living in the United States of America at the present moment. I don't care nothing about that. My aim is towards building. You know, I'm not playing defense against these people, and I yield, brother. I yield.
All right. Thank you,
I,
brother.
I, I'm shocked. All right,
So
go ahead, Brother Mark.
the thing is, Brother Isaiah, you can say, we all can say anything out of our mouths, but you have to be able to back it up. You have to be able to prove it. You're talking about King James being black, but then you should be able to have the historical evidence to support such a claim. Um, and that's what in order to be, found to be credible, you have to be able to prove what you're saying. As I alluded to earlier, Doc, he can talk about where he went to Almena because he was physically there. I was never there. I don't know what it smelled like, but Doc does. He was physically there. Cassie, she's been over there to different countries in Africa. I've never been to Africa, so I can't tell you what's there. They can tell you what is actually there because they've experienced it, they've touched it, they've smelled it, they've been there. I can't tell you nothing about that because I ain't never been there. So
I don't want to throw stuff. Maybe people have shitted and pissed in that motherfucker. That's probably what he would smell. There ain't no motherfucking way you can smell somebody 300 years ago now, today. Now, there might be some sensation, might be some emotion,
Have you
there
heard
might
of
be some
familiar
pleasure.
spirits?
Yeah, I heard it, but you ain't gonna be smelling no spirit. What the fuck is this shit? Somebody must have pissed and shit in that motherfucker. That's the reason why you're smelling it. There ain't no motherfucking way you can smell something 300 years ago. Now stop the
I mean,
bullshit. Somebody pissed and shit in that motherfucker.
you're partially correct because as you're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, and we can date it from 1500 all the way up through 1900. To be honest with you, 400 years. That was 400 years of pissing and shitting and menstrual blood that was there. There were no toilets there. There were no toilet paper there. That's ground there, and it's never going to go anywhere. And they've scrubbed
Wait. 400 years of being transported from that so-called castle to the Americas?
No, what I said is if you're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, because Elmina was controlled by several different European nations. Okay, so you can't pigeonhole Elmina and say, well, they stopped sending in 1776. They didn't do that. Okay, they battled over Elmina. Elmina, of course, means the mine because they were mining black gold, which was black labor and black bodies. Okay, so we know from 1500 all the way through the 19th century that they were still sending Africans across that Atlantic. They weren't coming to the North American continent anymore. Okay, but when you look at a landmass as sparse as Jamaica, you realize how many made it into Jamaica. They were still sending our people. So really what you're talking about is at least 300 years, at least 300 years of piss
Okay.
and shit and menstrual blood being ground into the walls of that place. The walls are stone. It is a concrete place. Okay, it ain't going nowhere. And if you consider 300 to 400 years of piss and shit as you put it, and it's only been slightly over 100 years since it stopped, it makes perfect sense that it's still there and
Well,
will remain.
let me address this with Sister Cassie. Sister Cassie, are you hearing?
Uh-huh.
White slavery in Turkey stopped well beyond 1865. It stopped in like 1920, 30. The
So you
white
said black
slavery.
people owned white people in those days.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, baby. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
In Turkey,
Turkey's a white country.
White slavery didn't stop until 1920, 30, somewhere around there. Well into the night, well, not well into 1960, but well past 1920, 30, and they were still slaves in Turkey. But yeah, Doc, you fucking my head up, man. But thank you, sir. I appreciate that. If you don't mind leaving a comment or something on Amazon, good or bad, I don't give a shit. Whether you might think I can improve here, improve there, I would appreciate it, sir.
All right, all right.
All right.
This is something else. You know, like I said, we ain't finished. I do want to get to the end of this thing. So hopefully we all can be back here tomorrow. And hopefully Isaiah can have his evidence tomorrow as well.
And I want some evidence that the Vikings were black.
Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and move to closing comments. Sister Cassie,
I don't want to do no damn closing comment. Fuck all that. God damn it! Leave me alone.
Don't get hateful. Don't be like that. It's all love, though. You know, it's all love. Boy, this is
I know.
very
But y'all had me in stitches on that day on the fan board. That boy about that word. I was crying. So I like, yeah, I did. Hey, what? All right, man. Come on.
You didn't have enough stitches the way you went out and got an air conditioner. You got a fan. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, this was very entertaining. A lot of great information. Information that I'm still waiting on proof. And hopefully tomorrow we'll get some proof. But yeah, like Doc was saying, I do agree that we have to, do more research or whatever, because a lot of what they have told us is their ideas, and they've trained and taught us, just like I see a lot of our men or Black people or people, period, that call themselves Christians, that go to their theologian schools, okay? And they have to do that. And it was at a place where we had to do it in order for us to get their training that they wanted us to have. So we have to be very careful where we're getting our information, who's giving it to them. And sometimes scholars to them is just people, that, study. But my thing is where they getting their information. I'm gonna always ask that, because I know how they lie, and I know how they come up and they'll put a label on anybody. And that's what they do. They'll put a label on anybody. Doesn't matter. Anything about that person doesn't matter. But we have to understand and start really looking through their information to understand if it's, because when it comes to us, it's always going to be them over us. We know that. It's always going to be something that they did greater than us. And that's not true. We came from greatness. We are greatness. And for anybody in the chat that don't understand that we are all Black first here, we all understand our history and understand that we were greatness. We're still greatness. Just because some white folk told you you're not, don't mean we believe it. But I do believe that we have to really sort through their information over and over and over, because they're telling you their story about us. I don't give a damn about their story about us. I want our story about us. I want to get my history from a Black scholar. Isaiah, you gotta okay, thank you. I want us to get our story from us. I'm tired of hearing, our story come from them. I don't give a damn what they got to say, because everything they got to say about Black folks is lies. Okay, they're gonna always make themselves look good, like they created something, like they built something, like they did something. Their asses ain't did nothing but stole it from Black folk. That's what I'm tired of, and I want truth. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for truth, even as far as the religion part of it. I want truth, period. I don't want to read a book that, that somebody else wrote. I'm looking for the real truth on all of this, because we've believed lies for so long, and I'm tired of the lies. And I want Black folk to get to the point where we're looking for truth and tired of the lies and go after truth ourselves, and not just reading their truth. You know, because a lot of this historian stuff is written by them. I don't believe any of it. They can come up with their stories just like when, you know, just like when the South and the, you know, North had their little, what did the Southern women do? They wrote their own history. I don't care about that. And they lied again, you know, and this is what they do. They rewrite our history now. I don't want to hear any of that. I want to go. My thing for, you know, when I retire, I want to travel the world to understand history, to get to know the truth about what really happened, what's really our story. And I hope a lot of Black folk want that also. And stop going to them for your history, because they're always going to make themselves look good. And I rest my mic.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Sister Cassie. Doc?
Yes, sir. Just glad to be here. Especially looking out this window at this inclement weather. You know, I know tomorrow's never promised, so just glad to be here, and hope to be able to get online tomorrow as well. Hopefully, all this stuff ain't torn down. So, hope to see you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, Doc. I mean, please be careful out there. We definitely be praying for you, bro. Definitely. Brother Isaiah, your closing comments?
I don't want to do it.
Okay, good. No, I'm kidding. The only way you talking, you have some proof that we good. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Look, Doc, yeah, you done fucked me up for the day. I mean, like, yeah, you took me off my center. I'm crawling back, trying to get back to the center. I say what? But that's good. I hope you appreciated it. I hope you enjoyed it. It was quite different from the normal history book that a lot of people read. From what I'm understanding, a lot of people appreciate it because it's from a two-person perspective and dialogue that no one has ever written a book like that, a history book for that matter. You know what I mean? Because I opened up a lot of avenues for me to express my feelings and my emotions outside of the facts. That's where I can put in my own dialogue along with Bob, who is my super ego, right? But outside of that, man, I am dedicated to facts, not opinion, not emotions, not feelings. And you know you got to set that aside. Truth must be spoken to power, especially when you are a student of history, a master degree holder of history, and a PhD holder of history. I have always been in love with our history, factual history. It's very important to understand where we've been so we can understand where we are and where we're going. History determines how you walk, talk, think, feel, and everything. There is nothing in this world that I love more than being Black. Black power, Black supremacy, Black superiority is what I'm all about. That's not a negative thing. That is a very positive thing. Because through our ancestors and through our Akashic records, you can feel the accomplishments of our people. Medicine, law, physics, astronomy, astrology, you name it, agriculture. We did it for Black people? No, we did it for the greater good of humanity. That's why Black is superior. White superiority is nothing but an overreaction to Black oppression. And when I talk about superior in being Black, I am fucking serious about that shit. There's no if, and, or buts about it because we're doing it for the greater good, not for the greater me as white folks like to see it. Fuck them. Because they are not mature spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. They're not. Even our ancestors said these motherfuckers, they didn't do that. That word didn't come up. I'm just putting my own spin on it. These motherfuckers are only as good as sudden exertion. They just learned how to speak 1,000 years ago. What fucking thing did they bring to the table of humanity outside of the 4Ds? Yeah? Yeah, destruction, disease, and despair. I don't think I have to prove that motherfucker. It's already written, done, and said. all throughout the Middle East. They are showing their motherfucking funky asses, how they are, what their MO is, how they really think, how they really feel. They're not going to stop. And to sum it all up, Shaheed Bolton, I don't know if you ever heard of him. I watched, and you watched it, Brother Muhammad. He said the only way to stop these motherfucking animals is if Africa and the Middle East unify, motherfucker, unify. Economically, that's the fucking shit that Angola did with Portugal. They went back with their fucking money and took that motherfucker over and told them politicians put the fucking law like I wanted, like we wanted. Now Angola is the motherfucking playground. I'm sorry, Portugal is the motherfucking playground of Angola. Now you can see what Gaddafi was talking about the first time. If you kill me, you'll be opening the door to all of hell for all of eternity. The Moors are back and getting stronger every day. The sword of Islam is back. The Arab Spring is back. We ain't going no motherfucking way because the only way to stop these fucking animals that we know to be as white folk is to fucking kill them. Politically kill them, economically kill them, spiritually kill them, and if fucking necessary, physically kill them. There ain't nothing wrong with that because they killing us in the air, in the land, in the sea, in the food, in the fucking water. If you can't see that, you a blind motherfucker. Netanyahu is a psychopath. White folks are psychopathic in nature, and therefore it filtered down into the social stratum, into the younger generation, generation after generation after generation. But I can tell you this, Bible ain't no motherfucking joke. What goes around comes around. Read what the fuck you say. And this is the reason why white folks are so desperate and so scared. But there's no turning back from that. As you have done, so shall it be done unto you. And if you don't get it, if you don't feel it, if you don't understand it, then your kids and your kids' kids. The sins of the mother and father are always visited upon the children. If you're going to bless the children, our people, and blessing them with the proper history, actual history, the factual history. Excuse me for the noise, but that's the idea. We cannot continue to keep cursing our children with false information. We must instill within them the very essence of what this life is all about: justice. It is incumbent upon us, as it was upon our ancestors, tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, however you want to see it. But the idea is still the same. Keep on keeping on. Don't stop. If I fall because I am falling 5 feet 8 inches forward. And if I fall and I die in that moment, pick up my fucking gun and keep shooting. I'll throw it back at you.
All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Isaiah. Very passionate closing. And I also want to say, because I did look up some things that I wanted to, show you what I found. Because anytime you tell me something, I always go to research, because I cannot say something that I don't have no actual facts with. Either way.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
So this is what I did find about your whites being enslaved. The Barbary Coast, North African pirates known as the Barbary Crosshairs captured and enslaved Europeans from ships and coastal towns. This practice lasted for centuries, from the 16th to the 19th century. The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire had a large-scale slave trade, which included enslavements of white Europeans from Eastern and Southern Europe. These slaves were often used as soldiers, laborers, and concubines. The Crimean Shalite, the Crimean Tatars who ruled Crimea Shalite conducted raids into Eastern Europe and Russia, capturing and enslaving white people for sale in the Ottoman Empire. The early medieval Europe, during the Middle Ages, slavery was widespread in Europe, and all people of all ethnicities, including white Europeans, could be enslaved. It is important to note that while white people were enslaved in these instances, the scale and intensity of the practice were different from the transatlantic slave trade, which primarily targeted enslaved Africans. The transatlantic slave trade was characterized by its immense scale, brutality, and racialized nature, which had long-lasting and devastating consequences for African people and their descendants. So even the time periods that them white folks were enslaved, it doesn't stack up to the transatlantic slave trade. It doesn't stack up to what was done to us. That is something to definitely remember. We have to deal with reality. None of this make-believe bullshit ain't gonna get you nowhere. But it is the reality of what you understand to be able to use it to change our circumstances. At the end of the day, our biggest mission is to free ourselves and free our people. And we cannot get lost in make-believe. We can't get lost in things that's of the past that have no effect on today. We have a clear-cut mission. And tomorrow, I'm going to show this interview that Malcolm X did. And in this interview, he was the white person, and then you had all black people around the table. And Malcolm was being a diplomat, but everybody else were being soldiers coming for him at the instant of the white boy. Because the white boy get tired of hearing somebody ain't talking right, then he said he went to somebody else and got on that person. And you had James Baldwin on the platform. You had, what is that dude? C. Eric Lincoln was on the platform. You had some prominent black people there. C. Eric Lincoln had wrote a book about the nation and talked good about it, and had some pieces in there that was not so good. And the cracker was trying to get everybody to get on the not so good part. And the thing that stuck out to me is that when you are on those platforms, you're at war. And you can't treat those soldiers who's coming to chop your head off as your brother. You have to treat them as the enemy and take their heads. And so we'll look into that video tomorrow as well, because there's things that we have to learn from that video. And because we will be the next ones that are on these platforms, and we should not be looking for our enemies to be nice to us. We should be looking to cut their head like they want to cut our head. So as we always say, you kill them.
Hold on, Blair. Doc, what's the name of your book so I can buy it? Doc, what's the name of your book?
The one that I'm pushing right now is the Foolish Floyd book.
That's available now.
Say that again. Foolish Floyd. Foolish Floyd is available now, but there'll be a new episode of Foolish Floyd coming out within hopefully 2 weeks. So you can wait on the new one if you want. There's a volume 1 and a volume 2 for Floyd.
Okay, but it's on Amazon?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Okay, I bet. All right.
Just
Go
type
ahead,
Dr. James Thomas Jones III in Amazon. It'll come up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Can
go
I
ahead,
go on,
brother.
Isaiah? Lord have mercy, brother. So as I was
You know how we,
saying,
uh-huh. You kill a nigga and you, and I kill a nigga and me, and our God shall reign supreme. We are black first. Today, tomorrow, and forever. Stay black.
Peace, family.
peace and blessings. Love y'all.
So you better get the message.
Oh my God.
You're gonna need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.